Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, people. As you can see, it is just me at the moment. Jay is running a few minutes late, but he will be with us very, very shortly. And we will basically be having part two of... So, guys, just, like I said, Jay will be with us very, very shortly. And after we had the last week show, which was taken in very, very well and well received, we wanted to go again. Obviously, we're now just over a week away from the planned protest against Manchester United. So we've got a little bit longer in time. Once Jay gets here, we'll be going for a bit longer. Same kind of structure, where we are going to be taking questions, ideas. But what I'm going to ask this time, because there are so many questions and ideas that I could not see, because I said put Q or an I so I could clearly see it, but my eyes are failing me. So all I'm going to say is, when we get to question, if you do have questions or ideas, please just put Q or I, and the whole thing, the whole text in uppercase, in capitals, so it looks like you're shouting at us, so I can clearly see it and star it, so we can come back to it. But whilst we are waiting for Jay, he's just loading up now, I will just say hello to everyone. Big up Jack, who has just put in a super sticker or super chat. Thank you very much. But whilst we wait for Jay, who is just loading up now, we'll say hello to everyone. So Anaban, a Chelsea fan, big up. He's been a great supporter of the channel. Everyone is welcome, but obviously we are a Spurs channel. Hope you're in the amazing crew, all right. Hope to see you guys more active and out here, and come back with more shows like morning and evening brews. Yeah, there are more shows coming, I can promise you that. Time-wise, I don't know if morning brews and evening brews is going to work. Morning brews could, but we'll wait and see. Just to say hello to Gilly, big up to Barbaric, channel member, Andrew Gregory, channel member. We've got Tweaky, another channel member, Psycho Fox, who was on yesterday, a very dear friend of mine, great guest to have on, been very well received. The great thing I've loved about having Psycho Fox on, and what we're trying to do at Tottenham on tour, is get new people on who have been Levy out for either longer than me, same as me, less as me, but also have different ways of looking at it, to hear what they have to say, because something I say has been said a billion times if you watch me or you see me on channels or social media. But having some new people come on with their thoughts and ideas is always good, and I loved spending that time with you, Foxy. A very dear friend of mine, Chris, is here. Big up, Chris. The wonderful Kate. Mr. Canada is here. I big up to you, Scott M. I hope you're good. Andy Lloyd, the king of the one-liners. Spreadsheets before clean sheets. That's not a bad one. Zach Robinson, a dear friend of mine. I hope you're good and well. Who else we got here? Tottenham Tom, big up to you in Ireland. We are going to be speaking about international fans. I'm actually right. Anyone here, and I'm going to go into more detail with this once Jay's here, because we've got a certain structure we're going to do. This is giving me the perfect time to bring up all these hellos and everything. Anyone that is very, very good with wording, I do have a very specific idea for the international fan base, which the home fan base can do as well, the match day going fan base or the non-match day going fan base back home, but mainly set for a specific tweet that Spurs put out, and to target them rather than just a Levy Out photo on every single thing. I have a very, very good idea of what I want to do, but trying to fit it into the characters doesn't really work. I can't do it. So if anyone can help me with it, reach out to me on social media, email me on the Tottenham on Tours email, or my personal email, which I'll put in. Just got a few more hellos to do. I can see Jay in the background, but I want to make sure we say hello to everyone here. Then I'll bring Jay in. He is here. Ryan, big up, my buddy. I hope you're good and well. Mario, big up to you. I hope you're good and well. We're going to be talking about next Sunday in more detail. A dear friend of mine, Terry O'Shea, I hope you're good. Brett, all the way in Australia. You are completely right. The club is rotten to the core. We have Rob Frank. Big up to you, Rob. I hope you're good and well. Milton, another Australian, is here. It's 8 a.m. If we get relegated, not saying I'll star that. There's a question, and thank you for doing it in uppercase. Mr. Sweden is in the house, another channel member. Audio is in the house. Big up, my brother. F. Edwardson is in the house. The Bertie Hotspur, another channel member. My dear little brother, Matty K. Check out his new channel. It's exactly what it says there. A very big brother of mine, Shawnee Slater. Another brother in Stuart. Edward Talks is here. I'm good. I hope you're well. George is here as well. Good up, big up, buddy. And finally, Cole. Right. Let me bring him in. Jay, how are we doing, buddy?
Tired and knackered. How are you?
I'm good. Look, you look red and rosy. You look like a lobster.
Because I was running about to try and make it on here on time.
Well, you dig. Look at your dedication and your passion. Right. So, just to let people know how Jay and I have decided to do this show. First of all, I got a message from Jay after the Liverpool game going, Brian, I need a little steam. When can we stream? And I want to do it with you. And I was like, let's go same time. And that's why we're here now. The way we're going to do it, we're going to do this in two kind of updates. So first of all, since the last week, we're going to talk Spurs to begin with, because obviously since we did the stream last week, we played Brentford and got a win. We had transfer deadline day and obviously the Liverpool game. So we're going to have a brief or chat about that, and we can all let off some steam. Then we are going to discuss from Change for Spurs what's happened since the last stream we did. They did a brilliant Space Sunday. We'll go into that and more spaces. They've released stuff more about the protest. We're actually going to go into, Jay, I thought when we bring up the plan for Sunday one, we'll break it down in the three kind of things that they've been put in place, categories, and then everyone, questions, answers, whatever may be, we'll go through. But Jay, let's talk about Spurs to begin with. So obviously since we last spoke, we're all getting ready for Brentford. How have you been feeling? Spurs Football Club, forget protest, everything Spurs you want to get off your chest, and everyone in the chat since last Saturday. Off you go, Jay.
I mean, we go to Brentford, and I think it's fair to say the whole fan base thought, we're going to struggle. Brentford are a great side at home. I think they've scored more goals at home than anybody else this year. So they are a great side. And then we go and pull off this shock 2-0. We dig in really deep. Every single player on that pitch walked off like if they were playing for the badge. And then it comes to Liverpool. And when I say it's bemusement, it was a spineless, pathetic, fucking fickle performance. And people can say it doesn't sit on the manager. It sits on the fucking manager. It was shocking from lineup. It looked like we went into that final like we were already 6-0 down. It looked like we just didn't want to be there. And I think this is a deeper mentality issue. Obviously, you probably seen my rant on X after. And
just a few of them.
Mate, it fucking feeds down from above. And obviously, I'm not somebody that likes to be swearing and going absolutely off my nut, but it's just, how do you explain it? This football club, and there was a picture circulating of Levy asleep. He weren't asleep. He just weren't giving a fuck. And that's the story of his tenure since he has been owning us, caretaking for us.
Yep.
He hasn't given a flying fuck about this football club. Winning on the pitch is not something that they care about. And as a fan, I said it to obviously our friend Ryan and them boys the other day. It's getting to the point where I'm deciding whether or not it's worth putting myself through this. I mean, I'm 28. I've seen my team lift one fucking trophy. We've been the butt of the joke for my whole life.
Yep.
And it's just at the point now where you look at the players. I don't care what anybody says. This Mickey van der Ven situation is weird. Either Ange's lying to the fans, which it wouldn't be the first time he's lied on injuries, or there is definitely something more sinister wrong with him. And it's now getting to the point where realistically, you could fucking look at the summer and go, Romero definitely gone, in my opinion. I don't think there's anything. I think him calling out the board was his bow and goodbye to Spurs fans. It's convenient. He hasn't played. He was fit training up to Hoffenheim. And then Ange comes out and says it's a slow burner. So for me, I'm hoping this Manchester United protest goes as well as we're hoping it does. Because if fans don't show out, then what else more can we try?
Jay, we're going to speak protest, and I what you just said there is the most truest thing of them all. Listen, Brentford. Well, let's just quickly cover the bit by bit. Brentford, obviously, we all need it. I thought we were going to have another defeat. I honestly thought we were going to have it, and you know what? Brentford played bloody well. We had to do what we had to do and fight for. It's been one thing I will say. Fighting has been a thing we've been lacking. In 100%. Recent performances, you look at Leicester, you look at Everton and recent performances, we actually showed some fight in the game and finally got 3 points. It didn't matter how we got them. It weren't about beautiful football. It weren't about whatever. And we got the 3 points, which obviously gave a bit. Ange needed that break. If he hadn't, we could have been, going into Liverpool, which we'll get onto in a second. But he got that little bit of respite. We won. We climbed a couple of places in the league. Whether people agree he should have got that respite or whatever, that's not up for debate. That's obviously people feel the way they feel. I'm there as well now. You're there. Many people are there. But he won a game of football, which is all we wanted. Transfer deadline day. I don't even want to get into the Mateus Tau and whatever. I want to talk about and focus on. And I'm really, really, do you know what? I was delighted with it. I was one thing, not the window. One thing I was delighted with is for years and years, I've seen us put a name out in the air and it's the biggest. Oh, look, Spurs are trying. At least we tried.com. And when I woke up this Monday morning, and obviously it broke early in the morning for you, but it was like when I first heard it, when I heard the Guehi, when I heard that Guehi rumor, I was like, I straight away went on Twitter and said, if this is not the biggest, well, at least we tried, because then I had people saying, oh, yeah, but if Spurs had done this at the beginning of the window, other teams would have found out about it. I was like, but I thought Johan Lange, his best thing was keeping things. Anyway, biggest, I told you so ever. But do you know how many people actually saw through it this time?
Fucking every single person. And
yeah.
We see it every window. There's this big marquee. We're going balls out. Eze in the summer was one. Eze last year was another one. Every fucking year, PR from the club is we fucked the window, so let's give them some false hope. And as for this Guehi situation, it come out their chairman, obviously, media started leaking. We put the bid in on Friday.
Yep.
Now, if you ask me, you'll go into Crystal Palace, whose biggest asset, their most valuable asset, and probably their key player. You go to them on a Friday when the window shuts on a Monday and goes, oh, yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to offer you this, but what we don't want is it to get out until Saturday or Sunday.
Yep.
And it's just fucking baffling because, again, this furthermore highlights the point. Clearly, there's something wrong with Van der Ven. The franticness and we went back to Diassi 8 times, I think it was.
Yep.
On Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, how that was in, but forget about. I completely forgot about that and the amount of times. But the good thing was, and like I said, I was monitoring the window like a hawk. We all were. We were refreshing our screen for Tau updates and whatever. But the good thing that I saw, and not just across social media, people at TalkSport, people on Sky, everyone, for the first time ever. And I will remember, Jay, I don't know if you remember this, people in this chat like Rich will remember, Psycho Fox, Craig, Phil P, others that are of older age. We lost 4-0 one year to Fulham in an FA Cup game.
Yeah.
And it was coming up to deadline day.
Yeah.
And immediately Spurs put in a bid for Sergio Aguero.
Yeah.
Andy Carroll, Giuseppe Rossi, and there was another striker, I can't remember his name. But
probably Sergio Berahino.
No, I think it was before Berahino.
No, it was. It was well before.
I can't remember if anyone can remember the full strike. There was a full striker. I can't always forget who the fourth one was. But all of them, as you guessed it, were all under the radar. I mean, all under the value, way short. And a lot of people were at least we tried. And let's see, Spurs are trying to do bits. This time, thankfully, they didn't. They saw through it. And then obviously we could reflect on the window, obviously with our injury situation. Could we have got another defender in, knowing what we knew with Dragos in? I don't even want to get into the injury crisis because I don't even, do you know what? I don't know if this is an Ange talking shit or he's being told to talk and say this, and everything is backfiring him. And if that is what he's doing, then he's being a bit stupid and not doing a Conte, which I'd love him to do. But what that window, where would you have ranked it?
What, this window?
Yeah.
If we had done this earlier, and don't get me wrong, it's hard to. Obviously, I'm the first one to jump the gun. With Dragos in, losing him the Thursday before the window shut, nobody could have seen it. Well, you could have seen it coming because the way injuries are going, I'm surprised we haven't got injuries to Porro, Kulusevski.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, the players we signed, it's a 6. It is a 6. We got the striker, we got a defender, we got a goalkeeper. But if you're gonna account for the whole window, it's a 2. And it's no more than a 2 for the simple fact the delivery of the fucking window was nothing but a disgrace. Like, Johan Lange flew out to Germany to close the deal for Tell. He fucked it. Levy went out there all cocksure after Matthias Tell had said, I want time to make the correct decision for me. Walked into a meeting, went, I want an answer today. And Tell said, I told you I wanted time. The answer's no. And it's taken a fucking manager. And don't get me wrong, Ange isn't the Conte Mourinho who's going to have the pull.
Yeah.
Ange just got on the phone and said, look, for whatever reason, this is my vision. This is what I want. And if I'm honest, fucking Ange could sell Snow to West. He could sell My Love to Enoch to me by the sounds if he got me on the phone.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far, Jay. I wouldn't go that far.
But again, it's a striker we've needed since what? When was Slanky ruled out? 2nd of January, I think it was? Or
it was before Everton.
Before Everton.
So early-ish in the window. But before we do that, people, I can see some people put in the chat, out of 10, what are you rating the January transfer window? Just out of 10, let's see what people do. I'll bring them up. But moving on, let's talk Liverpool. And then, like I said, we'll move on to protest, updates and everything. There's going to be a brief let off steam. Now, we got to get this out there that with Liverpool, there's been a lot of frustration, and rightfully so. But people seem to be getting twisted. That people, because everyone's going, oh, well, they're the best team in the league. They're the best team. What do you expect? Blah, 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 blah. It's not the defeat that is affecting everyone or a majority of people. It's the manner of the defeat. And when I've been shown stats that Accrington Stanley went to Anfield and did better, and I know they fielded a weaker team, but they did better. And then I was having a discussion with someone on one of my Unique Out groups, and it was like, yeah, we would have battered that team 4-1. I was like, we were held 0-0 to Tamworth. He was like, oh, yeah. But then what I will say is people going, the injuries have made a huge impact if we had our players. I did some research and I looked last season when we went to Anfield. Now, when we went to Anfield last season, near the end of last season, our starting lineup was Vicario in goal, Porro at right back, Van der Ven and Romero. Emerson was there instead of a doggy because he was ruled out.
Yeah.
Midfield 3, surprisingly, Bentancur, Basuma, Sarr. And a front 3 of Brennan Johnson, Son and Kulusevski. Now, you would say last season, that was pretty much full team. And all the players talking about injuries, apart from Richarlison or whoever, we're 4-0 down within 60 minutes. So I do get the injury nods. Everyone has injuries. Everyone's had problems. But that Liverpool game, the manner of that defeat was just appalling, wasn't it, Jay?
It's not the word for it. It's disgraceful. And the fact the club haven't come out and refunded the travelling fans. 6,000 fans went. And there's one point I'll get onto about the match and the mentality of one of these players that's really, really fucked me off. But you go to Liverpool, you're 1-0 up and you think, how we beat them at our ground was we took the game to them. And we had arguably a weaker squad when we played them at our ground. So there's no excuse really for the performance that we put in. As for Bissouma, the bloke is fucking lazy. He struts about trying to do the bare basics. And as Conte said, he is a player that doesn't want to learn. He doesn't want to do what he's told. He does what he likes. And to go to Liverpool, I'm not saying we went there thinking, oh, we're going to fucking win 1-2, 3-0. That's not the case. My anger comes from the fact of we didn't even have a fucking shot on target. And not even a 30-yard dig. It's more of the fact that we went there like we were already out of the competition. And that, to me, doesn't show that this isn't just a team mentality, it is a club mentality. Because any board member that you had seen sitting in that little group with Daniel Levy would have been fucking seething. And they weren't. They were sitting there chatting and laughing at 2-0.
Oh, talking of that, I just thought I'd bring a picture up just to summarise. And I think everyone knows the picture. I mean, the cameraman has either got this spot on and caught it at the exact moment, or he's having a little kip. I couldn't believe it. When this picture got sent out and whatever, whenever I saw this picture, people will know that when I'm at the Scotland Yard, when he comes on the screen, I get Levy Tourette's and every name under the sun comes out my mouth. But when you see that, he's either shut his eyes, go, oh God, here we go, or he's having a little nap or whatever. This is the thing. There's just, I don't even, that really set me off. Maybe more than it should have. It was just, I mean, that performance, like I said, not a shot on target. Joey, you're at Liverpool. You're at Liverpool. And I will say, in the first half, I think the back five were doing good.
Locked in.
They literally, don't get me wrong, they were under siege non-stop because the midfield was non-existent and we couldn't get the ball to the front three. They were under siege. Could they have done better in a few things? Yes. Could they have closed? Could Spence have closed Salah down for the cross? Yes. Could Gray have been more aware that Gapco had stayed behind? Yes. But they were holding their own as a makeshift back four. But then in the second half, we couldn't even make a single pass to each other at points, could we?
No, and this is it. And don't get me wrong, Sonny's been a great advocate for the club. There's no denying that. But he's the captain of the team, and he was just so poor. You had Richarlison. Don't get me wrong, I'm not his biggest fan. And as for the injury, again, he's another player that can get fucked in the summer, as far as I'm considered. If you can't stay fit, you shouldn't be at the club. And unfortunately, Mickey kind of comes into that. Romero comes into that. It does. And we need players here that are ready to play. And with Son, as a captain, every game you see him crying at the end and him coming out and doing a statement. They're the two guarantees you can have after a Spurs loss. And the passing, you're a Premier League club. At the end of the day, you're a Premier League club. At a bare minimum, you should be able to complete a 5-yard pass.
Yep.
And it's just, at the end of the day, I could go on for weeks about this game. It's annoyed me to the point of, I was pissed off Friday. I've been pissed off most of the day today because I thought I'm coming on here tonight and it's going to come up and it's going to be refreshed in my memory. And I just can't be asked for it. And I sit there thinking, I drag my kids to these games. Why?
Yep. Well, you look at it now. Well, before we'll talk about it. Before, with Sonny, first of all, I will say, Sonny, we've let him down. We have completely thrown him under a bus because we have a habit at Tottenham. Then when we have a star player, and he has been a star player, there is absolutely no doubt he still is. We just throw them under a bus and say, right, you fit, you play, you fit, you play, you fit, you play. We won't buy any decent competition for you or where we can rotate you and use you sparingly and keep you fit and keep you fresh like other teams do. And you look at it, when he was in his pomp, he's always had Kane, or that Poch team, he had stars all around him. So if he was having an off day, like other players do, there's someone there that can go, right, we've got to step up for him. There's no leaders, there's nothing. But the thing that got me with all this is, this is what really wound me up, when people like Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall to drag senior players, and I am going to bring Bentancur in this because apparently
that's what I wanted to finish on.
And then Bentancur, who this week we got told by Spurs they've been impressed with so far, they're thinking of putting him into the leadership team because of his growing influence. Well, when you don't have the respect to go over to those away fans. Remember, there's 6,000 of them. And a majority of those 6,000, I guarantee, got home early in the morning or stayed overnight and more money. And tomorrow morning or tomorrow late morning, they'll be travelling all the way up to Birmingham to go support the team again. I think the way the players, this happened as well by the end of Conte, Stellini and Mason, how players can't go over to the fans and say, thank you for your effort, whatever. I think it's one of the most demoralising and unacceptable things that a player can do to travelling supporters.
Yeah, and obviously this is what I was going to come on to. This is the big thing that's massively pissed me off. We supported the guy through his ACL injury when he done it. We supported him when he redone it again. Broke his foot against Aston Villa in a return game.
Yep.
We supported him through a 9-game ban. Bear in mind, we knew we had a fucking thin squad. We were still desperate for him to come back because we have that much respect for him. And the fact that come out, not from any random source, this has come out from fucking Alistair Gold, who in the Spurs community, he is very, very respectable. That Lucas Bergvall had to tell him, no, go back and applaud the fans. This isn't the first time a young player's had to do it. Archie Gray had to do it 2 weeks ago when we lost versus Everton. He dragged players over to clap the fans and take the shit that they were going to get. And it was well warranted. Obviously, do I agree with the name calling and some of the abuse? Certainly not. Do I agree with that fans being absolutely outraged by pathetic performance, which isn't the first time this season?
No.
Yeah. But to be told by an 18-year-old, do the right thing, it shows where the club is at mentally. And prime example, come on the pitch, did he have much influence? No. But one thing he was doing, he was trying to jeer the fans up. He was telling the players to push. And I get these players are knackered and he's not. But at the end of the day, this should be our captain going, get up, push, give everything you've got. If you're laying on the floor and you've lost 3-0, but you've put your 100% bollocks into it, fans will appreciate that.
Correct.
Instead, we turned up, rolled over, and were ready to die on the floor. So it just, at the end of the day, you've got to turn around and you've got to look at that midfield for tomorrow, and you've got to go, do I put Bentancur in, who's basically took the piss out of the fans, took the piss out of the team, because he was, there's 3 people in that squad that was shocking. Him, Basuma, and Sarr. They were 3 of the main because they were that poor.
Yep.
And you got to question it. Why would you play him when you got Callum Alessi, who's biting at the bit on the bench? You've obviously got all the young boys who are coming against Elfsborg. You got Bergvall. You got Gray, who we could play in midfield now because we got fit defenders. It's just, for me, I'd rather sit there and put academy players out who give 110% effort and go, do you know what? I give it my all. Okay, we didn't get the result. Then put these pricks that have paid 5-6 times the amount of them that go, we had a shit game. I'll collect my paycheck, go to sleep in my nice big shiny house, and the next game's the next game.
Yeah, they'll just roll into training. There's no accountability. There's no nothing. Now, we're going to change. See, I did that change. We're going to change for Tottenham. We're going to now go towards change for Spurs. What's been going on leading up to protests? 2 things I'm just to bring up before we do that. One of them is, I know it's, I think it's Ashmatic or Marlon. It's one of the 2. He's saying he's going to ask every 5 minutes, where the hell is your dog? You have a big ass dog.
Hang on.
You have a big ass dog.
I'm in my daughter's room.
We give the people what they want. So you got that. And whilst you're doing that, there's just a super chat I'm going to address. I can't believe I'm getting paid money. I'm getting paid money to deal with this from Ever Trav, who has said, Levy in. I can't believe I've put those 2 words together. He gave us £150 million 2 years ago. So first of all, we didn't spend 150 million. We spent 100. Second of all, we spent that on 7 players. 150 million. Once again, Spurs quantity over quality. And 2 of those players were, or 3, Perisic, no longer here. Bissouma, failure. Richarlison, always injured. So I thank you for giving a super chat regarding that. But if you think 100 million, 150 million, like people keep saying that, I saw a tweet from someone yesterday going mad about how Everyone's going on about Mourinho and he would have won the final. Look how bad we're playing football. Well, of course he was going to do bad because everyone knows with Jose Mourinho, he wants his players. Those players cost a lot of money and then he'll bring success. He didn't get... Do you think Jose Mourinho came to Tottenham Hotspur and said, you know what I want? I want Matt Doherty. I certainly don't. I don't. But Jay, we're now going to move over to your specialist subject and a subject I'm very passionate about. Obviously, the updates. We'll cover the updates of what Change for Spurs has been through. So I will say on behalf, and I know there's many people that listen to it in here, on Sunday you did your first space.
Yeah.
Which is obviously, what I will say is Change for Spurs have constantly been called out as in, who are you? Who's behind it? Who's running it? Who's directing this? And obviously, it had been a big talking point. You're like, right, we're going to address this like you guys have been doing. And you did that Twitter space, and there was Billy T on there, who, by the way, Billy T will be doing a stream with me this week, another midweek stream. Jay, if you want to come on that one, you're more than welcome, buddy. But
Yeah,
got
I'll
building up to the protest. There's going to be a lot from us this week. And obviously Lyndon was there, and obviously the person that was on and it was brilliantly done. And it was one by one. So just talk to people about, has there been a great reaction? Have you had new ideas sent from people, even from this show, and what's been going on this week? And then we'll move on to protests. And people, before Jay speaks, as I said, if you have questions or ideas, please put it all in uppercase so I can easily see them to star them, and we will go through them. Over to you, Jay, with what's been going on with Change for Spurs this week.
Yeah, so obviously we finally managed to announce what we're planning. Well, a big part of what we're planning for the protest. Obviously, the key stages, we'll break it down and go through them. Basically, at the start of the week, we turned around and we said, look, let's do a space. Let's get our names out there, who we are. Obviously, everybody knows I'm associated with it. I decided myself that I'll come out and say, look, I'm part of Change for Spurs. I'll be... If you got questions, you got this. If you got some shit to throw my way, I'll take it.
Yep.
So we come out and we done a space, which was an amazing thing. And obviously, the one thing I want to advocate, we've always pushed, whether you're Levy in, Levy out, change doesn't necessarily mean Levy going. Every fan has their opinion on whether or not they want him gone. I want him gone.
Yep.
Everybody in Change for Spurs wants him gone. But we know for a fact that necessarily might not happen. The change can come at board level. It could come from him going, I'm finally going to give up trying to be this football club owner. I want to step away. I want to keep my assets in the property side of things, or eventually leaving. And from what I understand from what Paul O'Keefe believes, and it is only his belief, that there is tension at the moment between Daniel Levy and Enoch. So as you can imagine, what we're doing in regards to these protests can only be twisting the knife when it's in his side at the moment. We've got to be very appreciative of all the media that have picked it up, the fans that are banging the drum online, the international fans. We're getting some amazing banners sent. So the pressure it's building on them. And we've decided to release a lot of what we're planning. Obviously, the march to the stadium, the sit-in, which I do want to talk a big bit on that. Obviously, that's going to be very, very key.
Yep.
And then obviously, again, the international fans. And obviously, I know a lot of your viewers some of them are waking up really early in the morning.
Yep.
Thank you so much. And obviously, especially for Brian, drop a like, share, sub, whichever you can. It's the support from you guys is just as important as myself. It's just important as anybody on Twitter, WhatsApp, Facebook, and even the boots on the ground.
Yep. So listen. What I will say, we'll go into the protesting now. Before we bring this up, I'm going to let people know a couple of one thing. I've even reached out to Change for Spurs today because I'm going to bring up this image now, Jay. I've actually reached out to them DM because obviously this picture has come up and you've released it and whatever. I reached out to them today. They haven't responded. Obviously, they're extremely busy.
Yeah.
I think the perfect thing for this, you know how people have started to use your banners as Twitter banner photos? If this can be reworked into a Twitter banner photo, and sized right, so the international fan base can anyone that feels this way can do it. So everyone, this one I think will pop. Now, I'll go a little bit into it because I want to. We're international fan base, like you said. So we'll have a quick chat about that again, because there's a lot of people asking what they can do, and obviously you've mentioned it. There's another space you've got planned Wednesday, isn't it? Wednesday, another
Wednesday night.
Space. Paddy has also sent me. I've got it, Paddy. I've just checked it. Paddy's got one idea, or he sent me something that he's been sent. So we can look into, and I'll share it with you later. But what I want to do, and I'll let people know now, but this is why I need people that are very good with getting tweets out within the character limit. It might be Billy T. Billy T might be the perfect person.
Yeah.
I had an idea, which obviously I reached out to you about, Jay, and this is solely or mainly for the international fan base, for why it all work. I remember when we had the protests going a few years ago, not because of us, but everyone started on, no matter what tweet, just started using that Levy Out photo, Levy Out, Levy Out, Levy Out, Levy Out, Levy Out, just everywhere. Which, yes, it worked and got the message across, but then it just was overkill. What I want to do with people and try and get people to do, and the idea is, and obviously, like I said, if people can word this to me, as you know, tomorrow, Spurs will put a tweet out and they will go, where in the world are you watching it from? And it will look like a airport departure lounge, and it will give you the time zones of 3 o'clock, blah, blah, wherever. I want the international fan base to use that tweet to target it and literally be on the lines of, I'm waking up at XYZ time to watch it in this country. I get up for my love of the football club, blah, 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 not, but I need it worded perfectly correctly. So if anyone is good with words, because I want to have it ready for Man U when you do your protest in accordance, because I think if the protest can be matched with the international fan base doing their bits at the time on those kind of tweets, again, it could have a big impact. Did you get a lot of stuff coming to you from the international fan base from here, from the space?
Yeah. So, sorry. So one that's really seemed to be popular is a lot of fans are having their own banners printed, and obviously these guys. I've had a guy from the United Arab Emirates today reach out. He's actually printed off our original Change for Spurs, the protest. So it's got all of the information. He's printed it up. He's framed it in his living room, and he sent a photo. I've retweeted it today. You'll be able to see it on my feed.
I'll retweet it later.
I tell you what, it's this. This is the kind of thing, because we know that the guys can't always get over to the UK to watch the games. And I know people go, oh, a tourist shouldn't be at the game. Blah, blah. No, tourists should be at the games. Whether people like it or not, they pay their money to go. And at the end of the day, it's hard, because a lot of them do go for their day out. Everybody's entitled to enjoy themselves, but I don't know who's going to enjoy themselves going to watch Spurs. Yeah, that's just me. But so the guys that I've had quite a few guys, obviously Terry O'Shea, I've spoken to him on a few occasions. Everything that we are getting in at the moment is incredible. And as I said, I can only suggest it keeps coming. Obviously, the main stream to get it through is Change for Spurs. I believe a lot of the guys have been out with family today, and I've been out. So it's hard for us to deal, especially with the intake that's coming on. Obviously, if you don't get a response from Change for Spurs inbox, feel free to prompt me, and that goes to anybody. Jump in my inbox and say, look, I've sent this idea. Can I get a response or feedback? And we'll get round to it. And obviously, building up to this game, it's going to be more key than ever. All the international fans are involved in it.
Exactly. I mean, this is the main thing, because obviously, as we've said, the international. I do want to address a lot of people, and I'm not talking about just in the chat here. I'm talking about across the board. When we talk about the tourist fans, the day trippers, the whatever, there are a lot of people, and it has started to annoy me a little bit, because I now count myself as an international fan, a tourist fan, if you want to say so. I don't live in the country. People will know I will not step foot in that stadium. I don't want to give him my oxygen, let alone my money. But there are people that are Levy out, that get the opportunity to go to Spurs and will protest. And will, I do understand there are people, and you can't get away from it. It's part of modern world now. The people do go there for the day trip. People do go there. But also what I would say is a lot of people will go with the flow. And if there is a big hurrah, and kind of like peer pressure, if you hear people doing it next to you and you want to be involved and get whatever. But I think what we got to do, the international fan base as a whole, is getting a bit, because I can reel off 20, 30 people right now that if they could get there next Sunday, they'd be there. And trust me, it wouldn't be for watching the football. It would be there to lend support, to help Change for Spurs, to protest. Obviously, if they want to go in, they would. But there's a lot of people that would want to lend support. I mean, I don't know if he's in the chat here, but there's a guy that flew over from Finland. I said it last time, from Finland. For us.
Finland.
I saw someone even say they're flying in from Austria in one of your threads or Change for Spurs. There's people flying in everywhere, and they're coming to support you guys, Change for Spurs, Levy Out, whatever umbrella you want to put it under. They all want to lend support. So we've just got to address and be careful when we say, not yourself, I mean in general, where this is being targeted on, because obviously we want to all lend our hand and how we can. And if they get to Tottenham, they get to Tottenham. But now, obviously, we'll go on to the protest that is planned for next Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
The first thing I want to bring up, Jay, and I've had a lot of people saying this, and we've got to try and find a way to do this. I don't know how we can do it.
Yeah.
I've heard from a lot of people that are wanting to go by themselves, but obviously they don't know anyone. So there's a lot of people that feel, okay, I want to be there, but I don't want to stand there and not know anyone or be able to interact. Obviously, people may have social awkwardnesses or whatever. I don't know if there's a way to sort out like a buddying system or something so people know. I mean, anyone can reach. I can tell you now, there's going to be a few people from Tottenham on tour there. The ones that are in England will be there. A few of the people that are regular viewers, and we have a little WhatsApp group, they're going. So there will be people there. But if you're thinking of going by yourself, and you just feel more confident knowing you can meet someone that you can be with and hang around with. Obviously, Jay, they can reach out to yourself via Twitter. They can reach out to me, and I can put you in touch. Even if people live near people, because it's not just about getting to the ground, it's how do I get to the ground? It could be a long drive. I don't drive it. I mean, a train. There's got to be something as a whole we can do to reach. Oh, Stuart, I've just starred your question, but I forgot to give you Jay's number. Remember when we were talking about people that may not be able to walk? Jay, is okay to give Stuart your number after?
Yeah, of course.
All right, I should do that.
And of course, just touching on obviously what you were saying, I will be in the Coach and Horses from 11:30. I'll be in the Coach and Horses from 11:30 on the day. If anybody feels like they haven't got anybody to speak to, obviously, Ryan, obviously, all of them boys, we'll all be in there. Feel free to come up and talk to me. I hope I'm an approachable person. But yeah, feel free to come out and just say hello to me. Obviously, I'm more than happy to have a chat. I love to talk. So yeah, this is one of the things. And obviously, it's hard for me to be able to say that I'll be able to introduce everybody to everybody.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, if you reach out to me, feel free to either come meet me for a drink beforehand. Obviously, we're all in there. We're all going to be having a laugh. It's at the end of the day, we all do still love Tottenham as much as it annoys us.
Yeah,
we all want the same thing. And as I said, I get not everybody's going to be Levy out necessarily. They might be destined to want Levy to be involved to some sort of level. You haven't got to come just because of that. You want to come because you want the best interests of the clubs. So, as I said, if it's tough, come meet me in the pub, have a drink with me.
Yeah, I will. When you touched on that before, what we'll do as well, I'm going to bring up the slide, which I've blown up a bit because of the size, but I've got the picture out and we'll read it in the 3 stages and discuss. First of all, like I said, we Change for Spurs. There are people that, like you've just said, want to keep Levy, but as far away from football as possible, as far away, and just deal with business. That's not what I want. I want him completely removed, gone far away, go build whatever you want, do whatever you want, just not on Tottenham's money, not on Tottenham's time. But there are people that think, do you know what? He could do that, and everyone can have their opinion on that. Maybe that's the change for someone. For me and a lot of people like yourself, it's goodbye, ta-da, see you later, Enoch, see you later. But I want to go back as well to the Coach and Horses now. There's a lot of people in here that I've drank with in the Coach and Horses. That when I came back in November, we had a big meet-up in there before the game, after the game. There's so many of us that are in there. So it is such a good pub as well. There's some great people in there. It's got a massive, massive back garden area, which is all covered apart from the far back. It's easy to find someone. You can easily recognise Ryan Isaacs. You'll easily recognise Jay. There's other people there that's a good meeting point. So maybe we could promote that during the week, that the Coach and Horses will be the place. Right, I'm going to bring up the banner. I'm going to read out stage 1 because I've got the picture in full here. So first of all, I'll read the beginning bit. Our voice, our club. Sorry, our club, our voice. Protest date 16th of Feb. This is about passion, pride, and protecting our club from greed-driven failure. Enoch have profited immensely from Tottenham Hotspur whilst neglecting their responsibility as true custodians of our great club. Let's show unwavering support for the team and unshakable determination for a better future for Tottenham. Now, the first part we're going to discuss, we've already done the international fans, so we'll do the two, but we'll start with the March, Jay, sir. I'm just going to read out the details, then I'll let you fly off. So the meeting time is at 2:45 UK time, March time 3 p.m. The meeting point is the crossroads of Lordship Lane and Tottenham High Road. Then the march route, we will march from the meeting point to outside the West Stand. We ask all fans to unite for a peaceful march against the board and highlight our dissatisfaction with the club's current direction in footballing matters. We urge all fans to be respectful throughout the march and understand that families with children and those with disabilities may attend. This includes aggressive behaviour of any nature, no abusive chanting. We encourage all fans to bring their own flags, banners, and create a party atmosphere. Jay, take it away.
Yeah, so obviously the key bit of that is keeping it respectful. At the end of the day, there could be people that are bringing their young children to the game who don't necessarily want to be involved. So if they see people swearing and throwing bits about or drinking heavily, it looks bad for everybody involved. And instantly, we do not want to turn around and give the club anything that they can use against us. Obviously, I've used it a few times. We're in a David versus Goliath situation, and they have a lot more money. They have a lot more legal knowledge. So obviously the main thing is keeping it fully respectful. There will be chanting, there will be singing. At the end of the day, we're doing this march because we care about the club, not because we want to upset people. And at the end of the day, as long as people turn up, and I mean, this is just as big, because as you've touched on yourself, a lot of people will not go into the stadium. Yeah.
Yep.
Being there just to be in them numbers, when them cameras are rolling down the high road, the pre-match build-up won't be on the team. It will be on the protests. And believe me, there is going to be some aggravation towards Levy. If we get the numbers that we're hoping for, and Brian, me and you have been to protest together before, and the numbers haven't always been there.
Correct.
Obviously, what we need fans that can turn up and be in the number. Obviously, the famous saying, I want to be in that number. It's time to fight for our club. And it's plain and simple.
So, I'm going to add to this as well. And I'm going to add about obviously where people, first of all, let me just deal with a couple of things. First of all, Tweaky, thank you very much, who gifted a member to someone. Listen, you're paying me to do these things, but I'll break it down each time. So it makes you're probably trolling or whatever. That's fine. I'm not going to say it because I refuse to say those words. Sugar worse than Levy. Sugar saved the club. Sugar bought Jurgen Klinsmann. Sugar won a trophy in 9 years, and it's taken Levy 24 years to win one. So I don't even know what you're trying to say, what you're trying to achieve, but whether Sugar was worse or not, if it weren't for Sugar, this club would never be in a position for Levy to have it. And at least he attempted to bring in quality players, such as Jurgen Klinsmann. Then he's brought another one. This is great trolling. This is great trolling. And do you know what? You're paying Tottenham on tour for this to be brought up. And if this is what you feel, this is what you feel. But I know for a fact there are many, many, many others that think the exact opposite. But back, Jay, to what you were saying, when it comes to people have got to remember when they say being respectful, that doesn't mean we're going to be singing Kumbaya down the high road.
No.
I have to tell you that when we were doing our protest, and there was, I've mentioned names: Andrew Rose, Andrew Cooper, Billy C, Billy Carnes, Ryan Isaacs, Boogie, Big Dell. I could start naming loads and loads of names. We got such a bad rap from people saying a lot of things that we weren't, doing a lot of things we weren't. And when we had all the banners up and people were coming past going, yeah, get Levy out, get Levy out. It was like, well, stand with us. They were like, well, no, because the abuse that they could see us getting for standing and the bad people did. And there were people with kids. There were so many people that came and took photos with the banner, did their bit on social media, got it out there. But as you know, Jay, for the ones you came to, everyone promised so much and then they delivered so little.
Yeah.
Like you said, you say David Goliath. I say the people like myself, Stell, other people that were protesting regularly and have been saying this constantly on YouTube channels, we laid foundations down. We did what we did. We don't want any well done, Brian, you go get them. And no, it's not about that. But we did that and we just couldn't get the numbers. And I understand that. I understand why, but again, I don't, because obviously a lot of it was not said right. But right now, as you showed, the Christmas one with Liverpool didn't get the numbers, but we just had 2 wins. We just obviously got to a semi-final, which we're now not in. So then you had the Leicester one, which you went dark, you went under the radar, and boy, did it have the impact. And that impact happened because of how it was organised, how it was done. And people have started to realise that we've won little battles previously. We've won little battles here, little battles there. Don't get me wrong, with the balloons, with the Daniel Levy rubbing his thigh, with the Levy Out chants, whatever. Small battles were won. But if you're going to win the war, you need a lot more numbers. Like I said, it becomes David and Goliath.
100%.
And the way to do this is obviously the way you have been. People coming together. I will say, I know for a fact you're going on Tottenham away on Monday, aren't you? You're going on Tottenham away, so you'll be discussing it with them. There's other channels where people will be going on. There's spaces. It's all about I don't care if people have just come on board now. It's not, I've been telling you this the whole time. It's about coming together and getting these numbers and doing it. And like I said, I remember Change for Spurs arranged a march last time, but it fell through for whatever reason. But it's different this time. I know from the traction it's getting, not just within the Spurs fan base, the media, the way you guys have been making yourself available and being transparent and putting things out, it's just different this time. So when people say respectful, it means there will be families there. There will be children. There will be parents. And we have to be mindful of that. We have to be mindful of that, because you got to remember as well, one false move, one thing that looks ridiculous or looks like it's problematic or trouble, the whole momentum goes. The whole momentum goes. So it is so important. But that march is taking off at 3 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah. So 2:45. We're meeting at 2:45. So obviously, I will probably be there from I'd say 2:30 because I'll get there nice and early. People recognise, obviously, what I look like. It might make people more comfortable to join in when the numbers aren't necessarily there than when the numbers are there. I know that could work both ways. All of a sudden, there's loads of us there and it's intimidating. Yeah, so we meet up there. We peacefully march down to the stadium. I've gone through all the right means to have this okayed by certain areas that we had to make sure this was all done correctly. Obviously, an organised march has to go through certain streams to get approval. It has to be checked all correctly. So last week, I reached out to the people who I needed to, got this all agreed, all okayed. I fed back information to them what we're planning. So there is definite complete structure. Me and the CFT team have all been working through it. We've been working through what we send in places. We've been looking through what we're going to aim to do. Obviously, we get asked, what's a march going to achieve? At the end of the day, it's going to unify numbers. It's going to really show who wants to change. And I know people who are watching tonight who won't be coming into the stadium. They're supporting the local businesses, which is everything we ask. There's guys around there that own their own bars. There's Spurs fans that on a match day, they're opening up their cafes at 7, 8 in the morning so we can go get food.
Yeah,
these guys are the key people, especially in the community, that need to be rewarded for what they're doing. Because at the end of the day, you got the club pushing out cheaper beer in some of these places, and it says everything you need to know, that they're more interested in getting you in to spend your pound coins inside than allowing the local community to thrive.
You're completely right. Like we said, when we mentioned this, like we said, the planned protest. It's good that you have got all the approvals, and obviously every one of the banners are now certified, aren't they? So they can't come near.
We will have all of them back hopefully by midweek, including possibly some other bits. But it's everything has gone through the correct streams, be it with the club or directly with people that it needed to. At the end of the day, we're making sure we're pulling out all of the stops so they can't pull the rug from underneath us just before we get going. Believe me, we're aware that at the last protest, they had cameras out recording us. There are people who work from the club openly wearing Spurs ties and shirts and bits, out taking photos of us. At the end of the day, this is why we push on for the respectful side. Keep it respectful, and they've got nothing they can use at us.
Exactly. I will say as well, like when the first one where I joined the group that I'm with and stand with proudly and met so many great people as you've met them, we did it on the NFL when the NFL first came over, or one of the first times. And we didn't have great numbers, but we kept saying to people, the most important thing about these things, yes, the numbers are massive. We all know what happened with Alan Sugar. And hopefully let's just say we could lose tomorrow and then that's it. If we lose tomorrow and we're out of 2 cups, that should be thousands with you. 100%. But we'll see how, should be thousands with you without anyway. And obviously, it will put more pressure on Andrew. What the club do, this is good. If we go out tomorrow, it reaches boiling point. But getting back to the NFL part, is as Scott M will know, Badder who's in here, Dietrich who's in here from this side of the pond, the NFL and their reputation and their love for good PR, and they don't like anything negative against them because they act quick. That's what it's all about. And next week when the march is, people may say, what good's the march going to do? It's not going to get him out. I'd even say this part isn't even about. It is about getting Levy out and making our feelings heard. The more people are there, those photos, just like what it did inside the ground for Leicester, that's what it's about. The exposure it's going to get, if done right, the numbers turn up, it will have a huge presence exposure-wise. And that's a massive part of this war that we're trying to win. Now, obviously, Jay, you wanted to speak about the next part. Now, I'm going to bring the post up. I'll read the bits out. Now, this is going to be new information to me as well. And then, obviously, this is going to be hot off the press from you guys. So, the next part is obviously was announced a stadium protest. Once the march ends, our stadium protests begin. Meeting point, entrance block 253 of the South Stand, concourse if you can. Otherwise, people take your normal entrance and refer to points below. Make your voices heard on the concourse pre-match, time 3:45. After the game, no matter what the result, applaud the players as they leave the pitch, show them our appreciation for the effort. Then the most important bit that you want to speak about, the sit-in protest. Once the players have left the pitch, remain in the stadium and gather in the south stand lower for a sit-in protest. From here, we will make it clear to the board, who will hear from us from their luxury lounges, that enough is enough. Now, as you said, Jay, you've got quite a bit you want to speak about when it comes to this part of Sunday's protest.
Yeah. So obviously supporting the players, it's a big enough game. I think everybody understands that it theoretically can be a 6-pointer. You look at it, we win that game, we go above United by a couple of points, superior goal difference. We lose it 5 points behind them. It's one of these things where I cannot emphasize, regardless of performances, these boys have got to be tired, and we understand that. So support them, use all of your voices to make them fully aware that our support is with them, and we support the club, we support the players. The people we don't support is where we need to be clear on, and that will come after the match. And I've just seen Matty there, which I'll touch on. Theoretically, if there is a big group of us, they can ask us to move. It's a peaceful protest. We're completely within our right to stay in that stadium for 45 minutes after the game. So what we're aiming to do is bring all of the fans together. If we can correlate in one big area and we can get 1,000 fans that are willing to stay in the ground after, hold the banners, sing the chants, these people will be sat there drinking their champagne and caviar, and we are going to be making their points heard. You don't think Daniel Levy is going to be looking over his shoulder out that window and going, okay, they're starting to step up extremes. And obviously, to some people, extremes are absolutely insane. To some people, this is an extreme. This is one way. And as we've said, this isn't going to be the only thing we do. This isn't going to be all and end all. We are aiming to do more and more and more, and hopefully impress everybody. So when we do sit in, once again, keep it very as respectful as possible. Chant in 100%. Banners that you can bring from home, flags, everything. What we need to do is make sure we all stick around after the game and we all build up in that one area and we really, really, really get our voices out.
Yeah, and I will say it's very easy to do that now with the new stadium because it's open all areas. So you can easily get to the South Stand. And I will say Manchester United did this with their green and yellow a few seasons ago, and they had thousands. I'm not saying obviously we're going to have the same response, but people saying it won't make a difference. It can. And you know what? You missed a point, Jay, where the good thing is, like you said, Levy and everyone will know about it. He'll be killing him because of the exposure, but there will be people like Ali Gold, Matt Law, all the other reporters from whatever publications, both national and international, that will see this and will make a story about it. So it's more exposure. The one thing I will say, obviously, is I remember staying in when I did go into that complex when I used to. And as soon as the game goes, they're very, very hot to get you off your seats. But obviously, massive. If it's done right, they can't do it. They can't do it. After a certain amount of time, they probably can. But obviously, the more people there, the bigger the issue. I just worry about, what I do worry about with Jay is obviously, as you know, they put a tweet out or a release that there will be extra security or extra ushers in the area where the banners went out last time. So it's just what, obviously, they are going to know this has happened. They are going to know because you've released it. Their media and clubs will know about it. Have there been any pushback on it or anything?
Funnily enough, I can't go too much into it. So we did approach the club at the start of January window asking a series of questions. And they're not questions that you'll get the trust asking where they'll be happy with a response.
Yeah.
We are just working through it to see what we can release of it. And it shows you exactly where the club is sitting and how aware of us and the fans, how the fans are feeling. The one thing, obviously, we can go into is that the club are very hot on it. we're not stupid. We know when we done the balloon protests, if you notice, they were militant in having people around to stop the balloons. We've got to be smart with certain things, and as we said, things that we are planning, a lot of it we are keeping off of social media. So if you don't hear from us for 2 days leading up to it, there's something we are planning. It's just stuff that we as a collective group need to try and keep quiet for the biggest impact. Obviously, as you said, after the game, if they do start flooding the stands with security guards, who's it going to look worse on?
Exactly.
Fans trying to express their opinion, or a club just trying to quieten them down. And I've heard this so many times. It's a dictatorship within that stadium. Fans don't have rights to free speech. Fans don't have the right to be angry. If you haven't got a pint in your hand, best believe that they will treat you like your dirt. And unfortunately, we need to make sure that if we do it, we are very, very, very quick in getting everything into place. People as well, don't listen to the empty threats. They can't remove your season ticket if you refusing to leave a stand. They can't report you to the police. There is nothing illegal. And believe me, we've had legal advice on this. We've also spoken to the correct people. As long as we've said we've kept it within means, respectful, the club theoretically won't have a leg to stand on. If they do, then that opens up a can of worms for us to then go into the side of, okay, well, we'll speak to media about what they've released to us. We'll speak to media certainly about a lot of things. And obviously, the one thing that we encourage fans to do, you see these posts, tag in any media. If you're from, it leads round again to international fans. If you're in America and you got NBC Sports, tag them into it. These guys picked up on our protest last time.
Yep.
Again, any media exposure that shows exactly how this club's operating or trying to stop things, it doesn't look bad for the people that are trying to do it. It looks bad on the people trying to force the stop. So for us and for me personally, this is going to be something that we are going to keep going. And we will look at, obviously, your trip, Brian, of the training ground protests. We will look to step it up in other areas, especially them throwing on Beyonce's world tour. We will look to try and affect whatever we can. And obviously, pushing round to the numbers thing, obviously, a lot of people after the game, you would have seen the video, Brian, from Ryan, of people still drinking in the concourse. I think it was an hour after. They weren't quick to usher people out then. So that's all I'm asking people to remember.
It's a good point, actually.
They're not quick to usher people out from the concourse. So it's nothing to do with people have to leave. Players will still be doing media interviews 10, 15 minutes. A lot of players come out to do warm downs or sign or take photos. So this is why we get this right and we do this right this time. The club's arse will fall out.
That's, you know what you just mentioned. I hadn't even thought of it like that. I hadn't even thought about inside the stadium. And then obviously when they're in the bar spending money, then it's a great point. Now, I will say there's two things I'm just to bring up before we start going through people's questions. Now, I have seen some people doing it without doing it in uppercase. I'm trying to find them, but please, questions, ideas, do everything in uppercase so it's very clear for me to be able to see it. What I will say as well is there's two things I'll bring up. April, I'm back for 2.5 weeks, and like I've said to you, I've made it very, very known that I plan to go to the training ground, and I'll announce it when by myself if I have to, but I know people will join. But it will be in support of you guys and what I can do, because obviously whilst I'm there, I always stand by what I say. When I'm there, I will be there, and I will attend any protests you do on match day. I think it's only the Forest one, which I pray they don't change to a Sunday, because I can't go to Sunday. It's still a Saturday. Don't do a Spursy thing. But the thing I want to reach out or talk about as well, because I saw Change for Spurs put it out today. And like you said about the club not being able to restrict certain things, this one they certainly can't restrict. And I saw Change for Spurs said it, and I know Matty K has put it as a question, is obviously you've put a request out as Change for Spurs for with YouTube channels.
Yeah.
To be able to cover it, give the exposure and pump it out, because it's not just always about the mainstream media, where obviously people start speaking, and we know certain players have been asked not to say things or do things. We know that. Well, they won't be saying it to people like myself and this channel and Tottenham Away and Spurs Kings and Dan the Hotspur Hood, and I can name other channels, but they're the ones that come up immediately. So anyone that is a YouTuber or has a channel or has access to a channel, whether it be a big channel or a small channel, whether you want to put it on your channel or share it amongst people like myself, Tottenham Away and other channels to get it out there, reach out to Jay or Change for Spurs as well, because there's people that they won't keep quiet. Daniel Levy can say something to me, Brian, stop doing this and we'll give you that. I will say, Daniel, go screw yourself, and plaster it all over the Tottenham on tour. It's nothing that man can say or do that will ever shut me up, and it will, and other people. So it's huge that people reach out to you that can have media channels to expose it as well. Correct, Jay?
Yeah. So obviously, one thing, especially this week, I've planned my working week, so I will have a more relaxed work from home week. I've got a couple of days where I am out and about. Monday, I'm up in Newcastle, but I should be back early. What I'm going to do is, to anybody, Matt, anybody that wants me to come on to their show and give 5 minutes, reach out to the Change for Spurs. And as we said, we don't care if you got 5 followers or 50,000. Reach out to the Change for Spurs. Say, look, I'd love somebody to come on and just give us a chat and give us a bit of exposure and help us sort of look into ways that we can help with this protest. Feel free to reach out directly into Change for Spurs. Obviously, if you don't get a response, just prompt me. As I've said, yep. We're normal people. We all have personal lives. So some of us, we do miss messages. I see one from Badar in the chat. He said he's tagged me in something today. I've been out with my little boy. So Badar, resend it to me if you can, if you're still in here. But yeah, just reach out and just say, look, we'd love to have your input, or even if you can give us a little bit. We're here to support the whole community as well. Obviously, every single Spurs fan is important in this. And if there's ways we can help Spurs fans help get our message across, we're more than open to helping. And obviously, as you said, Brian, we've spoken to numerous people. We're all going to be on numerous pods. Me, Billy T, we've got our space this week. We will be hopefully everywhere for people to get as many questions in as possible. So yeah.
I will mention, I keep forgetting to mention Football Heritage TV with Sava. He'll kill me if I don't mention him. So obviously there's Sava as well. I just want to say a big thank you to Scott M and the mods, because I have seen a couple of racist and anti-Semitic things coming in. Just go away and do one, mate. This is not the time for it. But all the mods that are on board, including the Diamond Sue Smith and all the other ones, thank you for stopping it before they come in. It's just a shame that when people are having a nice chat about certain things, inclusive and everything, that some people have to come in and try and ruin it. But that's enough time given to them. Before we go on to the questions, Jay, have you got anything else you want to mention about protest or anything else we've left out?
All I can do is reach out on a personal level to the fans, especially you've got a lot of guys watching here. Obviously, I'm one person, and I've sort of, from my own, and now I've linked up with Change for Spurs, who I put a lot of my time in. All I want as a fan is to see my club successful on the pitch. I want to see us winning all the glories. I want my children to grow up, getting to be the kid that goes into school and says, oh, we lifted this, instead of being a laughing stock. And if I could ask fans, just please show up. Obviously, it's all well and good. We get all the comments in the world saying, oh, we're going to be there, we're going to be there. One thing saying it, another thing doing. And as I said, on a personal level, all I can ask fans to do is turn up and really, really, really get your voices out.
And this is what it's all about. Now we'll start going into the questions. So before that, the person that wants to keep giving me money to bring up Levy Out or Levy opposite of Out keeps doing it. So I'm just going to bring them up because I need to. So let's deal with those very quickly. So this one, leave it. Oh, we've done that one. Okay, so Levy has invested Levy opposite of Out, Mason in. Thank you for giving me money for talking absolute drivel. I really, really do enjoy this. Thank you for giving me more money, for giving the channel more money. Another one. Sit down. If you Levy is a financial, but you can't even spell boss right, sir. Well done. Thank you. He's a financial boss. Make of that what you will. Incorrect, but never mind. Right, questions, Jay. I've got quite a few. So we are starting. Let's see what Milton has said. If we got relegated, not saying we will, but if we did, would Levy sell up? By the way, love your work. Milton, thank you very much. Jay, I don't know if you agree with me, but I've kept saying now, not that it will happen, not that it's going to happen. We ain't getting relegated, especially after Brentford. He won't sell the club right now for 4 billion.
No.
We go down to the Championship. I'll tell you what would happen if the worst of the worst happened and we ended up in the Championship. We would be able to outspend everyone. And you watch this man spend money like it's going out of fashion just so we're back in the Premier League. And then it'll revert back to type. I think not that it's going to happen. Relegation is the exact opposite of what anyone Levy Out should want, Jay, because obviously the price gets halved and they're not going to leave for less than half that money, are they?
No. You've nailed it. You go to a Ferrari dealership, you buy the most expensive Ferrari in that garage, you drive it out and you crash it. You're not going to be able to sell that for the value you want, are you?
Exactly.
And as much as I've said it all along, I said it last time I was on here, relegation a few weeks ago was a real possibility. And I think we are very, very, very lucky that there is 3 teams worse than us, 4, because United are pretty much us, but Northern. Even if we got relegated, they're only going to dig their heels in further. They're never going to get somebody who's going to turn around and go, I tell you what, I'm going to go and give you your 4 billion. You're in a lower level of football. The financial implications that could possibly come with going down, player contracts, bits like this, you're only asking for more pain and suffering for fans, rises on tickets again. It's a situation that personally I don't think will happen. And if it did, the Levy outside of it's a pipe dream that will never come true. I think This is why, obviously, we encourage people to get behind the players, because these players are what are keeping this club slowly plodding along, be it if we're 14th in the table or we're 16th. Whilst we're out of that red zone, we need to be making sure more than ever we are trying to get these players to give the last bit of strength that they've got.
There you go. So that's that question answered. Thank you, Milton. Then my good friend Ryan, when do you think Ange should go after the Liverpool game, and what do you think about? Okay, so Jay, you go first. Let's break this down. Basically, when do you think Ange Postecoglou will be sacked? Or when would you have him? When do you think he will? When would you? And your thoughts on Tell.
Right. So when do I think he's going to go? Ask me this in 24 hours time and I might have a different answer. For me, he doesn't see next season, regardless of league position. I think the only thing that could change that right now would be winning the Europa League. And I think even then, obviously, everybody on social media see the photos that were floating about in a pub in London last night of one ex-Spurs player and one, I would say special, but he kind of burnt that bridge with me after moving to Chelsea, manager. And it seems to be the case every time a manager's close to losing his job. The flirting, shall we say, comes about. Yeah. I think for Ange, tomorrow is going to be a big question on whether or not he can keep some fans, because the gutless performance, the comments that he's come out with, basically saying that the senior players aren't to blame for the squad performing badly. The 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds were the only ones who put everything into that Liverpool game. And unfortunately, a football match is 11 players. It's not 8, it's not 5, it's not 4. If you haven't got 11 players at it, then you're never going to get the results. So personally, for me, tomorrow is potentially whether or not I make my mind up and I say, of course, it is fully done with him. At the end of the day, I couldn't care. And as for Tell, it's hard. You can't. judge a player that one gets baptised in fire the way that was. You're coming on against the Liverpool team for a minute one that were applying insane amounts of pressure. You're coming on cold because at the end of the day, nobody noticed Richarlison was struggling. I think there was about 32 seconds between Richarlison going down and Tell being warmed up in his kit. Again, he's shown characteristics of what Bayern Munich demand of their players. He come on the pitch, he was demanding more. After the game, he done one thing that's really sort of settled, and you can look at Spence put out a great post. Not acceptable, have to do better, want better. Tell come out and he said, head up. And I think that's something all of these players should be thinking. So easy to look at the floor and be feeling sorry for yourself, knowing that you've let people down. Tell's come out, head up, we go again Sunday. And as I said, tomorrow is a big, big, big test for all of these boys.
Yep, I agree. If you listen, I'm going to combine that question, because you've answered that part with I'll answer Zach's. It's the same question, just minus. Yeah. All I will say with Tell is he's come to Tottenham, and now with Richie's injured, it's like, right, you're now our striker. You're thrown in the deep end already. I think if we lose tomorrow and it's an okay performance, or we played well and we're just unlucky, whatever, I think he's unfortunately going to be staying until Europa or the end of the season. Whether people agree with that or not, and I wouldn't agree with it. I think if it's another performance like Thursday, and we lose 3 or 4-0, no shot on target. Remember, we had this with Nuno 3 times, and he paid for it. Yeah. Now, you can't go to Anfield in a semi-final and have no shot on target. Is it easier for us to win the FA Cup than the Europa League? I'd probably say yes, because it's one tie, not 2 legs. People may look at it the other way and say it's easier because of 2 legs. But I think if it's a bad performance tomorrow, he should be gone. He should be gone. Announcement in the evening, whether it is or whether it isn't. But then I have said this the whole time, even when I was Anjin, that it doesn't matter for me who comes in here. We're going to be here, set the clock 18 months. We'll be here again for the same reasons again. We've got another question from Milton. Who in their realistic mind would want to buy our beloved club, as it's a circus? I love this club and would love to buy this club to get rid of the cancer that Levy and Edith are. Now, I will say, before I let you go on this, Jay, I've seen a couple of Sean Butler's shows, and I will say I get on with Sean very well, away from our views on the football club. And he's been saying, well, Levy Out people saying, who do you want in? Why aren't you finding people? And I've always said the same. It's not my job to find these people. I don't have a Rolodex. I don't do this for managers, or we all do when we say our managers, but there's got to be. I know of, from what I've been told, there's been 2 massive takeover bids. But the 2 I know of, Jay, that have been, you can speak on it after. One was, whether these are true or not, but I tend to believe these are. The first one was they wanted to buy the club outright, but the sticking point was Daniel Levy saying, I stay as chairman and I'm not leaving for X amount of years. I stay in my position, but obviously you own the club. The club were like, no, goodbye, see you later. And the second one I heard was they'd agreed to remove him from being a chairman, but he wanted to keep hold of the stadium, and Spurs pay rent and he gets revenue from the and obviously that club or that ownership said no. Now the thing is, what like you said at the beginning, Jay, there does seem, if we believe everything that's being fed through at the moment, and it's seeming to add up, that there is genuine tension between Lewis and Levy. So I think at the moment, especially, and this is another reason why Sunday is so important, because from what we know, Lewis is really hating what's going on right now. Whether he's got any care for the club, he just does not want this, the stress, pressure, whatever you want to call it. I think if Spurs do go on the market and they say, right, we are available, I think a lot of people come forward. Whether they're the right people is another thing. But what's your thoughts on it, Jay?
Obviously, I see a comment in here. One thing I do agree with, I don't like the cancer word. personal reasons behind it. And again, it's something the club can use against us. So obviously, just bear it in mind. But there's been, over the last couple of years, say 15 years, there's been 4 confirmed. And these aren't just rumours that have started online. Ted Bowley and CSP Capital, heavily interested in buying us before they went to Chelsea. Forrest Lee was another one of Asia Airlines. He came to the stadium. He was at the stadium for 7 games in a row as a special guest to Daniel Levy. He got given the price originally of £3 billion. Then all of a sudden, as soon as he was ready to pull the trigger and they wanted to lock into talks about it, the goalposts were moved. It seems to be a common thing. And QSI, another one, and MSI Capital, both of them heavily interested in us. Obviously, there's no smoke without fire that we've had Amanda Stavley at the stadium. Obviously, reports from Bloomberg themselves have confirmed Tottenham are making signals that they are potentially going to weigh up an idea whether or not to sell.
Yeah.
People are saying, who are you going to bring in? Who are you going to bring in? You put an entity like Tottenham Hotspur on the market, this club that has the infrastructure of arguably one of the biggest clubs in the world. You look at our training ground, we've got the most state-of-the-art training ground in the world. We've currently got the best stadium in the world. We have all of these facilities. We're in a prime location in London, which, as we've touched on before, tourists, there is money there. If you've got somebody that is willing to invest in a winning team, the money signs are there. So to say who's going to come in and buy Tottenham, there's probably a lot of potential buyers that are sitting there thinking, when's going to be my time to go public? And that's why these protests are helping. The more unrest we are causing, it's probably sending signals to people that are probably interested in buying us, going, there's going to be a breaking point where I might be able to squeeze a deal. I might be able to get a deal at a price that they're asking without them changing. As I said, though, telling a billionaire what to do is one thing. And from what I'm aware, we don't want the club side of things is coming from Joe Lewis's daughter, Vivian, who is a big Spurs fan. And I must relate, she is a huge Spurs fan. I believe up until 2017, she was home and away a lot of the time. So she's always made it quite clear she wants to see the club winning things. I think it's a waiting game. And whilst it's a waiting game, if we as fans can boil up the pressure for the club to have to make this split decision, that is what we need to do.
Correct. Matthew's got a few questions in here. Matty, one of your questions were, how can you get in touch with Jay? I'll get you in touch with Jay personally. Matty is a brand new channel, but he's a big supporter of 15 years old. This kid is incredible. I love him dearly. We all love him dearly. Jay, I will get you in contact with Jay, no problem at all. He's asking, to what extent are these protests going to change things in the hierarchy of the club? Hopefully, I'll see you on Sunday. Yeah.
So, as many people know, Daniel Levy is a majority owner. But he is not he is a big shareholder, but he is not the majority owner. The majority owner lies solely with ENIC. So that means one day if they wanted to call a vote between them and the other shareholders on what their plans were to do, they can do that. So that's where it comes into the point of, is there genuine unrest? Because it's not impossible for them to say, right, this is what it's at. Obviously, we all see in the media 2 weeks ago that Levy's bumped his share. It was only about 1.5%, but that 1.5% is probably worth 150 to 200 million. Again, could this be a sign that they're saying, look, we're willing to give you this extra bit of share, find your investor, or we're selling? Only the club know what's going on. But that's where the hierarchy can change. Obviously, nobody likes to see their business struggling, and certainly the media do not like to have, their club do not like to have the media drilling up this interest that there's unrest.
Exactly. I'm going to add to this as well. What you got to remember, Matty, and everyone watching, is the sponsors hate this kind of thing. And when the sponsors who are pumping money in, whether it be corporate, whether it be shirt sponsors or sleeve sponsors or any kind of sponsors, and I can tell you for the NFL for sure, they hate anything coming their way like this, anything. So it's not just what the pressure the fans are doing. the fans having the pressure will pass that on, and it's not just Levy we have to worry about. Obviously, he's the main guy, but the sponsors aren't happy at the moment, and the more and more they're unhappy, they can go, do you know what? We're not putting up with this. We were promised X, Y, and Z. This is not what we're getting. It's not a good look on our brand. So it has a major thing. We got Rich C, a dear friend of mine. Rich, I think I spoke to you about this today. I can answer this one very, very quickly. It can't be done. We did a group before the group I was with tried to do this, and then there was a whole kerfuffle with money and whatever. I can't remember the ins and outs. But this over the stadium is on a international flight zone or whatever you call it. No, exactly. So if you look at it, when Arsenal did it with We Want Wenger Out or Kroenke's Out, they did it away at West Brom and at games. Oh, you said away, Grout. I didn't even read that part. Rich, I'm so sorry because I spoke to you about. My bad. I apologise, Rich. Yes, I will say, because a lot of people ask for this on home grounds, it cannot, for love nor money, be done without huge ramifications. But is there a chance we could, again, this comes into, Jay, like you mentioned on the first one, funding, and obviously at the moment it's self-funded, and obviously doing stuff, whether it be merch or it opens up, obviously having to go for, but could this be an idea? Because it can be done.
Yeah, of course it can. The thing is, it's finding a company that can do it in a realistic price. Obviously, as we've said, where we sit at the moment as a group, we certainly don't want to take donations off people. That's why we encourage people to get their own banners, own flags, stuff like that, and bring them to the march. The issue with a plane is it's very technical on what we've got to do. Obviously, one, supplying a banner that could be dragged by a plane. So our banner alone costs a lot of money. Now, as you can imagine, a banner 3 times the length of that, then you've got to pay for a plane. You've got to pay for the private flight path.
Yep.
There's a lot of logistics going into it. So it's a great idea. The execution of it isn't just as simple as we can look into doing it, booking it, and going from there. Obviously, this is a plan that eventually can be coming down the path. It's just making sure, one, again, with timing is absolutely everything. And I would love to have this circle in the ground every game until the end of the season. But yeah, it's one of these ones that we can definitely look into it, just working everything else out that comes with it.
Exactly. I mean, you've got I pay good money, crowdfunding stuff. There are people that I've spoken to that said I'm prepared to donate X, Y, Z amount. But obviously, hopefully later on down the line, or when Change For Spurs decide to do that. But there are banners you can get or get created. Matty, again, I'll pass you a link. You said, is there a place? A friend of mine, Matt, will find the link. I'll find the link and send it you, because Matty was doing special deals for Levy Out or banners, wasn't he, Jay?
Yeah.
So there are the banners. Right, we've got 17 questions, Jay. We'll go through them.
That's fine. Yeah,
we'll go through them. So the next one, which I love, from Andy Lloyd: can we pay for a billboard or advertising space somewhere near the ground so it's there for a while? Could you imagine? Imagine?
Watch this space. That's all I'm gonna say on it. Is watch the space. And
look at the smile that you just brought to my face.
It's something certainly that's being discussed, and we've found a few companies that can accommodate something like this. So obviously, another thing with the banners, we have to be very, 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 very smart with what's placed on them. Defamation of character can be pulled out of nowhere just for mentioning names.
Yeah.
Swindon. So I'm unsure if people have seen what Swindon fans have done this week. They've done something very similar. It's a great idea, but yeah, just it's something potentially that could happen in the future.
This, Joe, honestly, it's such a, and this is the thing. When we did our protests, there were graffiti that was not by us, but I think we've all seen people post things where they've seen Levy Out or whatever. And I will say again, this is why shows like this And I have to, and again, I'm going to commend Change for Spurs, yourself, and any protester that's either singing in the stadium, retweeting, doing everything, because it just shows when this is done correctly and is done and planned and thought out strategically, it could have huge impact on certain things. So again, one thing I will say with Change for Spurs, when you said as well about if we go quiet, whatever, it's the credit in the bank you have as an organisation from what happened Leicester, and you've got a lot more support, and you'll always have Tottenham on Tour support and a lot of people in here. So hearing things like this, Jay, what you've got under wraps, and I will let people know all the things that change for Spurs. I may speak to Jay very, very regularly. I do know a couple of people like Heidi, who's going on the space on Wednesday, and Lyndon very, very well. I'm not knowing any of this stuff. I am literally, I'll tell you how bad I didn't know about things. The Leicester game, when you guys were kicking off and doing your things, I actually reached out to a couple of people back home and said, why is the South Stand so quiet? And they responded going, are you mad? It's going up. And I couldn't even, and it's not because of the loudness. They changed the stereo sound and drowned it out and whatever. So just watch this space, Andy, and that has brought a huge smile to my face. Eugene, a dear friend of the channel and a member, live stream from the protest. Jay, I what I will say with this, and I'll let you, because you may know more than this. What I will say for live streaming, when we've done things on our phone, it kills your battery dead. Unless you're walking around, I've got two different ones. One right now that's charging my phone that's got one. It absolutely drains phones and whatever. And obviously, people are going to want outside the ground of the march, inside the ground, sit-ins. I'm sure people can do this some way, but it's quite complicated. I mean, Jay, do you have anything that's planned with it or know of?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. What I can do is I can speak to a few people who run the pubs, obviously. Big up coach, Tina in there. She might let me put my phone on charge. What I'll aim to do is at least go live. I'll try and get onto this, CFT account and live stream it. Obviously, it's another way, again, international fans can get involved. If we get something like that trending, then even better. Obviously, if people can come and share, we'll share their links, we'll share their streams. Obviously, this is one of the things that we need to obviously have a look at doing. But again, if we have the numbers there, I don't think we would need to live stream. Sky Sports will do that for free for us without killing batteries.
There you go. And I will say the thing as well, and I will say people like Tottenham on Tour, Tottenham away. I don't know if Sava's going, but there will be people with accounts that are going there. And I can say people like anyone that's friends of the channel here and has my contact details or is in the Tottenham on Tour group, send it over to us and we'll publicize it all over our Twitter, all over our YouTube, all over everywhere, live and as quickly as possible. And obviously I'll be about to help with the Twitter or YouTube or whatever. Ben Kaufman will be there right by your side. So there will be channels that can pump this out quickly, maybe not live, but the main thing for you guys is and this is the people that aren't going to the game or even are at the game. If you go to the game, get these videos out. And if you see them, the most important thing, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, I don't know if you can share on TikTok. I won't go on TikTok. Twitter is just retweet, reshare, do it all over so it's literally flooded. And that will get it everywhere. And then other people, like you said, Fabrizio, who picked up on it last time, CBS, I will tag all of the Canadian sport channels. I know Scott M will know more than me about the right people to tweet or hashtag in Scotland, Canada, and he can help me with that. But hopefully that will do it. Then we've got another great member of the channel. What about a joint Levy Glazer protest, numbers, media, coverage with two opposition sides would be world news? Now, I will say, again, Jay, just before I let you go and reveal everything, the great thing about this game as well, and it being Manchester United, is we all know that they will be chanting, win, lose or draw, Glazers out. Now, we tried, when we lost the 6-1 to Newcastle, then did what we tried to do. The Levy Out chance went for a bit, but then went very quiet. But this game and this one, it's a big help that it's United. But I don't know if you guys have spoke to United or people that do it. Where is it on that, Jay?
So we haven't had any direct contact with anybody, obviously. Through X, I've got quite a few United fans that follow me. These guys that have said this as well. Leicester fans reached out and said to us about protesting. They're obviously going through, they went through a poor window. So the only correlation with doing a joint protest is it would work if both sides could agree to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the sticking point. Obviously, a big thing through a lot of protesting is I couldn't care about another club. I really couldn't care about another club. What I care about is my club. And as great as that would be, it's a battle of two sides. And you never know, it could work in our favour, especially the media picking up and the headline stories being owners at war and all of this. But at the end of the day, it's one of these things, again, it's so complicated to get arranged in the background, getting through to the right people. And then secondly, having it impacted in the stadium. Because if they go for it, which United fans will, and for whatever reason our fans don't, we look stupid. I think that's the best way to explain it.
Yeah, and like I said, I think the best thing is that United will generate an atmosphere in the stadium shouting about their owners. I can remember they were 2-0 up against us in that game and they were screaming, "We want the Glazers out." They just got to an FA Cup final and we couldn't get Levy out to last more than 30 seconds. So hopefully this time it will be a lot more passionate from our end. Matty has got a couple straight off the bat. So what time is the first sort of protest? So as you said, Jay, take it away for the march.
Yeah, so the march meeting time at the Crossroads is at 2:45. Obviously, a lot of us will be there from earlier. As I've said, for people who wanted or want to sort of get to know a few people before, I've just been typing in the CFT chat. We're going to release 2 meeting points at 2 ends of the roads. So you're going to have the coach and horses, and then we're going to have a look at the second venue at the opposite side of the road. So no matter which way you're coming in, if you're coming in from Seven Sisters or Tottenham Hale, you've got access to me and some of the CFT team. Obviously, as you said, on Wednesday, it will be a big night for us to get out all of the information that we can, get to know some more of the team, and obviously, hopefully, put a few faces to everything so people know who to say hello to. And obviously, if you see people promoting the protest, reach out to them as well, because a lot of people, obviously quite a few people are saying who else is involved. And I think that's one of the questions coming up, who else is backing this protest? If you see somebody sharing a Change for Spurs, or if you see somebody saying Levy Out, give them a follow. Build together. And this is a whole point of everybody coming together. It could be such a big thing for everyone involved.
I agree. I will say, like I said, I will keep doing it. Whenever I'm in Tottenham, it's always the Coach and Horses. It's run by Tina, who's one of the most friendliest, wonderful ladies ever. It's a great pub with fantastic people and Spurs fans. And I know that a lot of the people that will be going to the march, they will be using that as their starting point. So people that watch this channel, that have watched other channels, that know people from obviously seeing us on screen, if you're worried about not knowing anyone, I don't know where the other location is, but I will say you will definitely see someone you recognise at the meeting point for the Coach and Horses. So if you're only going to attend a meeting point rather than whatever, you will know people at the Coach and Horses meeting point. Another one from Matt. He's got a hat trick on the way, by the way. Idea question. Would throwing stuff on the pitch at corners be an idea? Gets everyone attention, but it's too rash. Maybe like purple and gold papers. All right, I'm going to let you answer the whole thing. I just need to mention the last bit. Purple and gold is done. And I'm going to tell you why it's done. And a load of us have removed it off of I've removed it off of my Twitter and social media. However we tried to go about it, and it came very, very quickly. It got such a negative press because people that may have been Levy out but didn't attend protests and just wanted to cause a lot of tension and cause trouble, made it an eyesore and gave it a really, really bad rep. So anyone thinking about purple and gold, that's the thing of the past. As you see, the colours used in by Change for Spurs have been blue and yellow, synonymous with Spurs kits of the past. But Matt, that's just not me having a dig. Just I need people to realise that purple and gold is no longer a part of this, a part of the movement, a part of anything. And you would have seen if you got purple and gold and discuss anything with Twitter, a lot of people will say, "Oh, you got purple and gold on you. You're an idiot," or whatever. But Matty, Jay, I'll let you take over the rest of that question.
Yeah. So obviously, throwing stuff onto the pitch that could lead to potential implications. Don't get me wrong, getting the club under financial strain because they will get fines for stuff like that. But we see it at Chelsea. TFC flags put in a lot of effort into the TIFO before, and fans were throwing it at Palmer and stuff like this. As a fan, yeah, you sit there and go, good. But then you think logically, again, that's giving the club something for them to then use against us. And it as much as it gives the club bad press, gives us bad press, gives all the people that put time and effort and their own money into it even more bad press. Obviously, touching on the purple and gold, Change for Tottenham, as we said, we're not new, we've been going for over a year. Lyndon, big up Lyndon, who's put so much time and effort into it. There's no colour affiliated with it because at the end of the day, we just want fans to voice what their opinion is. And if you start tying colours to it that have got previous bad sort of links to it, for whatever reason, people don't like it. It's people have used in the past, United are obviously yellow and green. It's just obviously something that at the end of the day, whilst we're not affiliating with colours, people are entitled to voice their view on what the colours should be. We just haven't linked anything to it. So throwing stuff on the pitch, again, we don't want to cause anything that could potentially harm what we're trying to do.
There you go. So I just want to say quickly, I've seen a couple of people in here. Tequila 316, who I haven't seen for ages, has come in. Big up to you. And he's actually gifted a membership to someone. So first of all, thank you for giving the membership away. And thank you for being part of the show. And I will just say before we go on to the next question, there's a legend amongst us here. And not many people will know Graham, but they know of Graham. This man who I met at the NFL protest, we stood side by side at every single training ground protest, has missed since 1967 probably 10 games in his entire life. Is as predominantly Levy out as you could ever wish to meet. Every single time we did a protest outside the club shop, he was there. He will be with you on Sunday. And a general and a man I love very, very dearly. So big up to you, Graham. I just saw you in there. Next one, and it's from Matt to complete his hat trick. Is there a repetitive message we should be making on our posters that we are bringing?
Me?
Yeah.
Right. Guys, as I said, voice your opinions. Obviously, keep it clean. Don't do anything that could be seen as anti-Semitic. Don't do anything that can be seen as hate. Obviously, that's a big one. When we're having these banners and sort of like protest information made, we're very, very careful on what we can and can't include. If you see something we've put out, I mean, I see a great picture of Billy C holding a scarf this week. I personally will be buying one. It's not something CFT are involved in. It's not something CFT are behind. But me personally, as a fan, that speaks the message I feel. Yep. So 24 years, 16 managers, 1 trophy. That says enough. But yeah, if you have something you want to get across to the board, or you have something you feel about the club, get it written down. Pending it's all clean and sort of all neat, where it can't be thrown back or used against anybody that attends the protests.
Yep.
You could write on there that I hate the ownership, but I love the club. It's as simple as that.
I will say those scarves, and Billy C found out, anyone who saw them now, before people talk about it, there was one slight error on it, which at the very, very bottom of the scarf where it says existent, the guy stitched in 1892, not 82, but it's so minute at the end of the scarf, the main part of the message, just so everyone knows, the Bill Nick pub, before the protest, there will be a guy who is selling them. I don't know the price, I don't know the amount, but they will be there, and they were brilliant. And I have to say, like you said, the great thing with these banners now, a lot of our banners were funny piss takes, like with Dave Mackay holding Billy Bremner but Levy's face or whatever. I think, like Tweaky said in here, the greatest thing about the banners you got were they were just to the point, no abuse, no nothing, just stats and facts of this club and what we've had to go through. And that's got to be the way forward. Got to be the way forward. Stuart, will the coaching horses show the game? It's on Sky. They will definitely, or TNT, whatever it is, they will be showing it. It's Sky, 100%, Stuart. It's where I watch the games, although the Ipswich game that wasn't on Sky, I watched in the coaching horses with Richest Man's phone and about 8 of us around it because they don't have a dodgy box or none of the pubs were showing it. But if a game is on Sky like it will be, and believe me, the Coaching Horses for game day is a very, very good pub to be in. So that is a place to go. Eugene, again, for the next protest, what about supporters clubs sending in banners? I can talk to my people. He's in San Diego.
Yeah, so obviously we've touched on this. Please do, Eugene. Reach out to me directly. Certainly get them sent to CFT. These are things that we are finding big, and this is something we are big on, is inclusiveness of international fans. For you guys, we know it's not as simple as you could just fly over. We wish it was, and we appreciate every bit of support. You're just as important as anybody. International fans may even have more of a social media presence, especially to the people from the club who will look at it. Yeah, so get your banners sent in. And another thing, as we've spoken about before, if you go to a supporters club and you live stream, which I know a lot of supporters clubs do, get your banners in behind you and they will be nice and clear, especially to the club that are looking to do their little social media bits. Oh, San Diego Spurs watching, big Levy Out banner. It's going to say points. And I've spoken to a few clubs. I know it's not as simple as you can do that due to the club. A lot of you guys sometimes get offered tickets to come over to the UK, which for some people is a once in a lifetime opportunity. We don't want you to risk anything that could further hinder you guys not ever being able to get to a game, because that wouldn't be fair of us to ask.
Yeah, I'm literally going to talk about that because I can actually talk about this because obviously I am part of Toronto Spurs. Now, what people have to be very careful, there's a difference between doing it at your designated pub or wherever it may be, which is fine. But what you've got to be careful, and I know Levy is petty enough to do this, is if you do it, if Toronto Spurs started posting things with Levy Out banners on their official Toronto Spurs, they are officially part of the club. Daniel Levy will be on the phone, or the people that be, and will say, right, you want your perks, you want your tickets, you want this, you want that. So obviously you can do it in your pubs and but just don't tag officially the supporters clubs, because you will get the supporters clubs in. Okay, so I'll get that sorted in a minute, Jay. I'll just put a message out. So actually, I'll deal with it now. I don't know what is going on, but Stuart Davidson, can you calm down with your messaging, or I will get someone to just block you. In fact, do it right now, because I've just seen your last message. Yep. This is one of the, there's a Stuart Davidson. Please block him. Jay, thanks for getting there. One of the mods just messaged me and let me know you've removed him, and keep your eyes out. All of the mods are doing an incredible job. You always do. Unfortunately, you do get idiots like Stuart Davidson that want to come and say things like that, which will not be tolerated on this channel of any religion or anything. So someone please remove Stuart Stuart Davidson, and I apologize, not San Diego, Sacramento. My bad, Eugene. But yeah, like we were saying, people, please be careful when doing it from your fan clubs, not to tag them in, because there will be ramifications from the club. And it is I know for a fact, and this is it's so annoying that this is what happens. The way Toronto Spurs get tickets and all official fan clubs is you have to be a member of their fan club or a fan club. And at Toronto Spurs, we charge $25 a year. But some people do it for free. But Scotland Yard, which is the best pub in the world and the most known Tottenham pub outside of Tottenham, they give us discounts on food all year round, not just on Spurs games. They give us so many perks that you earn that $25 back. But you have to be a member of that. Then you have to pay to be a One Hotspur member. And then you show your 2 memberships to get your tickets. And if you start tagging your football club or your official supporters club in it, you're going to be in trouble. So I'd just be careful what you're doing at your supporters club about tagging them in. We have got Levy Out banners did have at Toronto Spurs. I'm going to be recording Levy Out chants from the Scotland Yard. Won't be able to touch us. Eugene again. Oh no, Eugene. That was the one. Matty K. When I'm screamed at by security after 5 minutes, what do I say or do? In what regards, Matty? Listen, I know this guy who's 15 years old went down to the front row of the Elsport game and started screaming Levy Out, and hardly anyone. You probably heard him. If you had a Levy Out, it was him.
I put a tweet out on the game day, so probably about Matty, saying to the one fan who's screaming his absolute bollocks off about Levy Out, we can hear you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's obviously Matty. If it comes to that, when we're in a big group of us, the club will probably back off from trying to shut it down for the simple fact the media will be all over it. The media will be made aware of what we're planning. So they will be there with the cameras. So if all of a sudden we're being ushered out, it's not you that's going to look bad. And we understand they probably might try this, but it's going to look worse on them if they do stop this, because it's a right to free speech.
There you go. So that's that one. We've got another one from Matty. I've spoken to hundreds of people who say they'll Levy Out but don't care enough to protest, which is a big thing. How do we make them want to protest and get more involved? Jay, you go first, then I'll have my say.
I mean, people that say they care about this club, this is the time out of all the years, out of all of the previous protests, and I'm not just saying this because it's us organising it. I'm saying this because I don't think I've seen a Tottenham Hotspur in this state before. Be it with transfers, be it financially. Oh, sorry, not financially, because financially we're the most flush club in the world. But I mean, at the point of Daniel Levy is spitting in every fan's face at this moment in time. And I think all I'm flying out to Germany to get this deal done, all this is a fake I care. To get more people involved, obviously a lot of people have in the past not wanted to protest for whatever reason. Hopefully now everybody, and I mean everybody, as you said, Savastel, you got Ricky on Last Word on Spurs. All of us are coming together to really focus on this one thing. And hopefully we're showing the way we're doing it, we want everybody to be involved, whether you bring in your 5-year-old child or you bring in your 70-year-old father. We want this to be an inclusive protest where everybody stands shoulder to shoulder to get our point across.
Exactly. Well said. What I will say with this as well, Matty, is obviously I suffered, or I don't want to say we, and Graham's here, Ryan and all the others, like I've mentioned before, we had this before where people would come by us and would say, stand by us and help us increase the numbers. They wouldn't, for whatever reason. Those people now that see it, I think now we are finally getting traction as an entity about wanting change for this ownership. Now, a lot of it will be if they saw 50 people at the meeting points or at the march, they might go, yeah, they ain't got the numbers, they ain't for me. But this is why it's so important that people do turn up, because if they see a massive amount of people, and let's just say for a random number, 500 people, If 500, if they see 500 when we struggle to get 200, 250 maximum, more people will want to come. It's Matthew. What I will say as well, it'll be like those people. If these people, they don't care enough to protest, then they can't really complain about what's going on and the lack of silverware, the lack of forward planning as a football club, the want and desire for better. And it's like when people say, well, if you don't vote, how are you going to make a difference? So these people, it's down to them to want to. But I think the bigger the numbers and the bigger the traction, the more inclined people will want to be. Mike Zappa, mate, I haven't seen you for a while. I hope you and your family are good and well, buddy. How about a boycott of sponsor brand products? Jay?
Thing is, my missus buys a few, not knowing they're directly linked to club. Great idea. Logistically, it's impossible. Obviously, I don't go out and buy an Ineos Range Rover, but direct sponsors, I think the noise that we're making is enough to piss them off with the club. And we have to keep raising the volume. And our away lads, Liverpool was just it was a gutting performance. Obviously, the away lads couldn't shout, but every away game, they are the loudest voice, no matter what stadium we've been in. You hear them every single game. So in regards to boycotting the sponsor products, it's hard to do so, and it's hard to see what directly we're impacting, because some of these have tie-ins to your everyday means. I think the way we keep going about it is we keep doing it, and obviously a lot of people buy. I've just seen Sheriff 2 Marks' comment. Nike are massive. I'm wearing a pair of Nike shorts at the moment. I've got Nike boxes on. For me to rip Nike out of my life would be impossible.
Mate, Nike has been easy for me. Nike, I used to. Their kits have been so poor that, or a majority of them. But listen, like you said, with this again, Mike, what I would say is it needs to be done en masse, and you never know. You can't just say to all Spurs fans, "That's it. Don't buy XYZ. Don't buy Dulux paint. Don't do this. Don't do that." I know for a fact when we tried. Someone came up with the idea when we were trying 2 years ago, leave 1-star reviews on. And I'm not saying do this, because as soon as this started happening, these sponsors started going nuts at the people doing it, going, if you do this, we'll take you to court.
It's illegal to do it. So
exactly.
The issue is they search for these fake reviews, and obviously whether you know it or not, and it could be a fake email address. That email address is created off an IP account, and if you have one of these giants, one of these 1-star reviews knocks £100,000 of sales for whatever reason, you could be the person that's in the firing line.
Exactly, and I will say this is why I think the easiest thing to do, and I always say after a dear friend told me about using the South Stand rather than the stadium, like you said with Ryan when he posted that video, I think it's easier to boycott not spending money in the stadium. It's very easy to say, do you know what? As much as I want to buy Spurs stuff, I'm not going to buy it at the Spurs shop. Whether you want to buy it, listen, whether you buy it at JD Sports or whatever, Spurs will get some of the money, but they're not getting a majority of it. There are obviously other ways that you can get, let's just say, cheaper versions of certain stuff. That will have the bigger thing, because Nike will have quotas. Nike will have ideas of sales that they want. I think it's easiest to focus on that. Right, I will tell you now, we have 9 questions left. So we're going to leave it at these 9, because I told my wife it'll only be 2 hours. We're in added time already. Matty K again. Is there any, Matt? I'll reach out to you. I'll get my mate Matt on the phone to you. Zach, last one from Zach. He says, what made Jay leave you out? Because I don't think I've heard why. Jay, fire away.
Levy Out, it's accumulated over the years. Obviously, me and Brian stood shoulder to shoulder at the Manchester United protest last year. We've been to previous ones before. What made me Levy Out is just the cumulative decisions that the bloke has made. And they're not footballing decisions, they're financial decisions. Harry Redknapp with getting given Nelson and Zaha. You look at Pochettino, He'll built a squad that could have gone on to win absolutely everything, and he starved him of doing it. We were the first English club to ever go 18 months without spending. And even though I've not always shouted it, you sit there and you think, you look at Man City and you go, where they were 20 years ago, they weren't even in one of the top 10 teams in sort of the league. They've come up because they've had owners that wanted to pump money in, and whether you say it's the correct way to do it or not, I'm not saying I want somebody to come in and put us under all these restrictions and financial restraints. What I'm saying is I want an owner that cares about the football. And with Daniel Levy, he don't care. And the biggest slap in the face, deadline day, and he announced his Beyonce without announcing a signing.
That was hysterical.
And this is it, Brian. And for me, Levy Out isn't a choice that I've decided last year that I am. Levy Out has been something that builds and builds and builds. And I've noticed I've got a platform where I can start shouting about it and I'm getting the reach. All I'm trying to do is, for me, show why I want change for the club. And obviously this is why I emphasise change for Tottenham isn't necessarily what I believe or what Brian believes. What change is what people think change should be at the club. And for me, it is Levy going. It is Enoch going. But I can't force my opinion on people. And you go back to my first Enoch Out tweet, I think it was 2016. My Twitter account was only made in 2015. So this isn't a new thing. I've been vocal. I've been at protests.
Yes,
I just haven't been one of the guys like Brian who's been banging a drum on social media for years.
Well, this is the thing, and this is the big part where people need to realise. And and the one thing I will say, I am delighted with how people have received it at the moment. Is this doesn't matter about how long you've been Levy Out. It doesn't matter if you've been. Graham has been longer than me. I have been longer than Stel.
I think I know who Graham is now.
You'll know who Graham is when you see him. You'll know who he is.
I think I've got him on Facebook, so I'll reach out to him afterwards.
Yeah, he is a dynamo. He's incredible. Like I said, so what has happened is this isn't. I've been telling you this for 15 years, 16 years, 17 years, 5 years. It doesn't matter when you realised that. Do you know what, Levy? These people have been right, or nope, I can't do this anymore. I tried to give him a chance. I had Simon Fox on yesterday, and he even said I gave him time when we moved into the new stadium to say, right, let's get this new stadium in. That needs to pay, blah blah blah, or whatever it may be. But then enough was enough. Enough was enough. It doesn't matter when. All that matters is that you are. And now you make a difference and you help us. I am going to put here, because whilst we're just talking about this, before we go on to the next question, right now I'm going to put my personal email here, and there's a reason behind it, and I'll tell Jay about it afterwards. I'm not going to say it live now. But that is my email address, my personal email address. Now, I have a plan to do something all this week, building up to this protest. Now, people that want to be a part of it is going to require you doing a pre-recorded video of up to 5 minutes that I'm going to put on the channel. If you want to leave a video and be a part of this, and you haven't got me on WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, email me there. I will fill you in with everything, and we will get it out. Because this week, I'm going to do all I can, because I can't attend the protest for obvious reasons, but I can flood my YouTube channel, or our YouTube channel. I can flood my social media and be any level of support to Jay, Change for Tottenham. Like I said, we'll have Billy T on this week to take questions as well. So please email me on that email if you want to. Mike Zappa, another one. What happens once the game starts? I'm thinking about people coming in to protest, but doesn't have a ticket for the match. Once the game starts, Mike, what I will say is, coaching horses, there will be other people at the pub that are leaving out to watch the game. The people that aren't going to the game but want to protest, obviously you can't take part of the sit-in for obvious reasons. But I will tell you, after the Brentford game, and I mean the Brentford game where Crackers actually from last word of Spurs joined us. We went back out after the 3-2 loss to Brentford and started protesting outside again. So if you have your banners, if you want to have some kind of media attention or whatever outside, if you are at pubs, whether it be the Coaching Horses or whatever, surely, Jay, there could be something arranged or put on or released where an outside protest could do just as much as the sitting.
Yeah, obviously with how we've organised it, and it is a good point, and it's something we can actually. The guys are speaking in the chat and everything. Obviously, big up to the guys from CFT that are watching here tonight. It's something we can definitely look into, try and sort something outside. Obviously, what we have is the main focus for us at the moment was inside, for the reason being we feel that that's going to get the loudest reception from the club directly. And obviously what we hope for is the media are going to stay there as well, because the media are a big part in this. So if you guys were protesting outside, we don't want you to be shouting into the air or getting cold. Obviously during, and for the guys attending the protest beforehand, obviously that's a big part in itself anyway. The numbers, again, as we've said, having the numbers there for all of it, we just need to be bang on point with all of it. And obviously it's something that I'll definitely discuss with you, Mike, tonight. And what I'll do is I'll get an answer to Brian for the next time he's live, if you're in here, just to sort of say where we are at it.
Yeah, that would be fantastic, because there's so many ideas. And if anyone from Change for Spurs, or what I will say, anyone here, please, another thing you could really do, and it's not even about helping my channel or our channel, so I keep saying the lads' channel. If you can like and subscribe to the channel, fantastic. But the most important thing is share this stream, whether it be via your WhatsApp groups, whether it be via your social media platforms. Just get it out there, because the more people that are aware of what's going on, questions being answered, ideas coming out, the better it will help Change for Spurs, Jay, and all the people, either internationally or on the front foot. Then we've got Patrick. Guys, I can use a suggestion, which the Glazers started to get pissed off about us, is that we started targeting sponsors. Jay?
Yeah, so a lot of people may be aware, some of our sponsors are actually basically the club sponsoring themselves. If you look for it, I can't point anybody because I don't want any implication, one towards Brian, the channel, or me, or for any reason to get strikes. If you look into who the club sponsors are, a lot of them tie back to the club in some form of way. For us, a lot of our sponsors are the bigger brands that we may not deal with in the UK. AIA, for example, aren't an English printing company. Ineos are actually registered in France, even though they're owned by SJR. It's a way to look at it, but again, you've got to be very, very careful on the way of going about things. If you get 50 people who are sending targeted emails, leaving negative reviews, it's going to link back, and again, the club can use that as a reason to why we're doing it. But again, there's ways to go about it, and obviously one thing I can only give praise to is Manchester United protest very, very well against their owners. Sorry, dog's just dribbled all up my arm.
That's right.
United protest very, very well against their owners. And one thing you cannot fault is the way they go about it. I feel Spurs fans have our chance now to really show that we can protest the way Arsenal have, the way United have. We've seen Everton protesting. It's just unity in the fan base, and hopefully the fans unify with it. So, yeah.
I mean, I will ask this, and I'm going to repeat what I said again. I have a idea for the protest for mainly the international fans, but because they can have their say, but also for the non-match day, any fan, for a specific tweet to go out on a specific tweet that Spurs release. But I need it. I need a very, very eloquent person that can give me what I need within the word characters in Twitter. And I also plan to having the hashtags AIA, hashtag Nike, hashtag NFL, and hashtag F1 and Kraken. They can't do you for hashtags. So it will get the reach with that. But I desperately, there's still 211 of you in here, and I can't thank you enough for bearing with us. We've got 2 more questions. Please reach out to me because I want this tweet to go live next Sunday. And if we can get it worded right, it could have a big impact. Edward, big up to you, Edward Talks. If we get a new owner, how do we know that we might get a bad or better owner? Jay, you go first.
Or can we get a worse? Oh, yeah.
No, go on, you go.
Can we get a worse owner? We have a custodian who doesn't care about the football inside. The tally up of many mistakes made by the club show that he's not a big football person. Football is the biggest money spinner. Words that come out of his own mouth. He's here for investment. And at the end of the day, he is a businessman. And he's turning Tottenham into a business. There was a great bit on, I don't want to shout out other podcasts, but there was a great bit on Last Word on Spurs the other day. I think it was Crackers again, who come out and he said the community around Tottenham is what makes Tottenham Tottenham.
Yeah.
And these people can't afford to go to. Oh, sorry, it wasn't Crackers. It was somebody else. He was on with Paul O'Keefe. But he basically said you've got local kids in that area that can no longer afford to go to the games. We have the second highest average season tickets. There's only one club, which is Fulham, who have a higher season ticket price than us in their new stand. But local kids cannot afford to go to watch Spurs. What is a football club if your local community cannot afford to support it? Yeah. And under Daniel Levy, this is how he went. So how do we know that we will get a bad or a better owner? You don't. You roll the dice. But at the end of the day, if somebody's already played their cards, it's very easy to see where we could get better. That's my view on it.
My view on it pretty much aligns with you, Jay. But what I've always said is we go into every season, like we're going to the next window. Like we did this January, going, oh, here we go. We're going to mess it up. We're going to scrimp and save, miss out on players, rumours, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, are we going to challenge for the league? No. Are we going to challenge for cups? Who knows? We didn't normally take them serious, but have done this year. But a new owner comes in straight away, and your faith, your hope, your optimism, your belief, your confidence. I'm so stale of going into every season with Levy and Enoch, seeing the same thing happen over and over again. Now, I'm going to mention Newcastle. Now, obviously, Newcastle owners come with a lot of bad press because of where they come. Not getting into that part. They've been there 3 or 4 years. They've challenged they've got into Champions League. They're going into their second final in 4 years. And they've been doing things right. And the other week, and I don't know why I did this to myself, I tortured myself and rewatched the documentary. I don't know why I did it to myself, but anyone that hasn't watched the Newcastle documentary, I strongly urge you to go watch it. And it's only 4 episodes, but you watch how those owners come across about their love, desire, commitment, and passion to the footballing side of the business, as opposed to what we've got now. If someone said roll the dice right now, Levy goes in the summer, you roll the dice, you don't know if it's a worse or better owner, would you do it? In a goddamn heartbeat.
I just want to add one more point to that.
Go on,
a prime example is Freykin with Everton. Very early doors to see what their plans are. But since they've come in at Everton, they've relaunched the stadium to get the stadium completed on time. They sacked a manager that they did not believe will bring success to that club. They've had the boost, and whether or not you say it's Moyes coming in or not, they've had the boost. They've played us off the park when they played us. Bringing a new owner in can elevate the fans to get behind it. It can give the fans something to believe in. Now, what would you rather? Stick with these owners and believe every year that we're going to hear the same stories that come out? We're going to hear the same bullshit, oh, we wanted to win things? Or would you have new owners come in and demand success on the field?
Exactly. The thing I will say as well, I hear a lot of people say, yeah, but anyone that comes are going to look at it as a business and want to make money. And that's totally right. But I don't know another football club in world football where they come in and there is nothing to do infrastructure-wise. Obviously, they could add their twist and do they have to invest in brand new stadiums? No. Training grounds? No. The reach of what it's got? No. The club shop, the
academy.
It's the academy. It's everything is there. Everything is there, and they can come in and straight away, unlike Newcastle now, are having to deal with FFP and PSR constraints and where they are on getting rid of players. Because of the one good thing Levy has done about getting us in a financially strong point, they can go hell for leather. Like Levy could. Levy technically could have got to spend over 200 million this January or last summer and turn this around and make people think, oh, wait a minute, things are going to change. He didn't. And I believe we can't get worse, as in with a lack of passion and desire for the football team. We got the final question from Rich. How about banners and small protests at head office of sponsors? Jay?
I'd love to fly to the likes of Japan to protest against AIA. One, because of the red. Whoever signed off on having a red fucking sponsor on our kits, beyond me. Again, this is a numbers thing, and a lot of people, myself included, I work full time. I work from early Monday till late Friday. Finding the time to do it, obviously, Spurs is something I've put my whole life into, and I will continue begrudgingly to do it. And hopefully, obviously, myself, I'm planning on emigrating to Australia within the next 4 or 5 years. So it will get tougher for me and I will visit back. But protesting outside head offices and sponsors, you're just going to have somebody who's sat on a computer, look at the window and be a bit confused with what's going on. A lot of these sponsors don't sell products out their front door. So the effect would be minute on it, in my opinion, anyway.
So do you know what? Now, I can elaborate on this a bit more, because obviously on my side of the pond, you have Tavistock headquarters in Miami, Florida,
yeah.
or that part of the world. You've got the NFL headquarters. You've got Nike in Oregon. I have had people speak to me and go, Brian, if we can arrange something, we'll do it. But again, like you said, these people will be aware. The big ones like Nike, NFL, Tavistock will be aware of it. But like you said, it's putting it together. And if you go there with like what we had outside the training ground of like 20, 30 people, it does the exact opposite of what you're trying to do. It will look absolutely silly. It needs to be on big numbers. Like I said, I know for a fact next season when the NFL starts, I couldn't arrange it for the Super Bowl, which would have been amazing. I have got 7 teams in America, NFL supporters from 7 different teams. I can't remember them. I've got the list of it somewhere. That I will be getting Levy Out banners to them, and they will be taking them into NFL matches. They're also, obviously, will have the major impact in NFL, but they're prepared to do it for their hockey team, their baseball team. So that's what it is. I remember someone a couple of years ago took a massive Levy Out banner to a cricket game in India. Although there's no affiliation between India, cricket, and Tottenham. Obviously, the Indian Spurs fans there are, but I mean, within the sports, the traction that got on social media was enormous. If you could do that at Aussie rules football games, I'm just saying Aussie because you mentioned Australia, or other national sports, it has an impact. That's easier to do than saying, right, 3,300, whatever people meet outside NFL HQ, Nike HQ. So if people want banners sent out to them, which I can arrange, I'm sure Jay can help me, or people can reach Jay with that. That's probably an easier way to do. Now, before we wrap up, Jay, you would have seen me in the private chat. I started putting in. I am now putting in some links for people that may not have had them from the first show. So the first one is Jay's Twitter page. So if you want to reach out to Jay, now I will say with all these ones that I'm sharing, if you are going to be putting tweets or direct messages or whatever, Jay, I know for a fact, is an incredibly busy man, as are Change for Tottenham, who is the next link I'm putting in, which is their Twitter. I'm going to be putting in their Instagram and TikTok. Jay, people can reach out to you, obviously, but like they said, it may take you a few days to get annoyed if they don't get a response.
To Change for Tottenham as the main one. Obviously, reach out to them guys first. And always tag me in. Obviously, I've got people like Mark and all this who constantly get us involved in all the stuff. If I miss it, drop me a message. Or if Change for Tottenham miss it, drop them a message. As I said, it's one of these things where we will all try and keep everybody inclusive in what we're doing.
This is the great thing. And like I said, Jay, you're going on Tottenham away on Monday. So people will be able to see you there, where you'll be having a chat with that. Are you appearing? Obviously, the space on Wednesday. Are you on that space Wednesday?
Yeah, I'll be on a space Wednesday. Obviously, the main thing I think what we're going to do is structure it very similar to how we did last time.
Okay.
Heidi, who is very good at organising everything, is going to be on there. You're going to get to know all of us. This is going to be the main way. Obviously, we've got a few of us that are appearing on other podcasts throughout the week. As I said, I've got quite a free week, so for the guys on here with the smaller accounts that want us to get involved with them, just drop me a message. I'll be more than happy to jump in and have a chat with you. So just as I said, if you can reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to help with any questions and all these bits that you may have.
There we go. And I will say to everyone, Jay, I'm going to give Stuart and Matty your number.
Yeah.
Stuart can talk to you about access for people that may not be able to walk or whatever. And Matt, you can reach out to him. If people need to reach out to Jay and Jay's not being able to respond, like I said, he works, whatever. If you have my number, you can reach out to me. I can be a go-between. I'm going to be available to do so. Tottenham on Tour are going to be putting out a lot of content this week based on helping Jay and Change for Spurs and all other Spurs fans that want to have their say. Might do a fan show. If you do want to be a part of the pre-recorded plan I've got, let me know. If you do have a way with words and can help me get this tweet perfect, let me know. Bella's asking, Jay, Change for Spurs got a Facebook page?
Oh, that's a good point. I'll tell you what, I'll find out from Lyndon. I'm unsure if he's in the chat. He might be in here. If not, I will get one set up for the next show. Obviously, as you said, you're on with Bill, and we'll have it all covered in there for you, bro. Yeah,
we'll find that out for you, Ben, and I'll get it to you. And like I said, if anyone has any ideas, send it to Jay, Change for Spurs, anyone that you know. We're gonna try and work out some way to get that buddy system. But you said you're gonna have 2 meeting points as well, Jay, didn't you? So
yeah, so we've spoken about it. So this isn't, the second point isn't confirmed yet. So Brian, Lyndon's watching. It's in our link tree. It is on there.
Okay, 1 second.
So if you go,
Lyndon, can you WhatsApp it to me quickly? Lyndon, brother, can you WhatsApp it to me, and also let me know if you're free so I can get you on this week as well, whether it be pre-recorded or recorded. If you can WhatsApp it to me, Lyndon, that would be awesome. I want to say, obviously, there's a lot of people in here tonight. There's been over 200 for most of the stream. Thank you all for your participation. Thank you for all putting in ideas, questions. I hope you've enjoyed the stream. As you know, this time we've actually getting traction. Big shout out to, I've got a brand new channel as well. This is a channel you should get on as well, Jay. I'll reach out to you about that. There's lots of channels that have been here. There's been, I can see my Diamond Sue Smith and all the mods that have been on their game to wipe out the idiots. Let me see if Lyndon's WhatsApp me. He hasn't yet. Hopefully Lyndon will WhatsApp me.
If you bear with me.
He just has 1 second. Thanks, Lyndon, buddy. If you can message me as well, Lyndon, to see if you want to come on this week. What I'm going to put on, he sent me the link tree. So this is Change for Spurs link tree. I'm just going to see if anyone wants all of their details. There it is. There it is. So, guys, listen, thank you for being on, Jay. I can't thank you enough for coming on again, buddy.
Thank you, mate.
And everyone, I hope you enjoyed the stream. We're going to end it how I always end a stream. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, Levy out.
Oh.